always.
And we're live.
Yep. It's like one of those cold opens that they do on SNL now.
Yeah. But even
which, by the way, I don't recommend watching anymore.
I haven't watched it in a while. The last thing I watched was so it was one of those things with the chick that was in Ghostbusters, and everybody was like, "This is super funny. She's so funny and talented." And I watched it. It was just kind of her spurging out, which clearly was not how it was supposed to go. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I guess.
Was it Leslie Jones or
no, the lesbian one, which is not a polite way. Maybe it's not. I mean, she is a lesbian, but what's her fucking name? Kate McKinnon. There we go.
Okay.
I pulled it out of my brain. It's in there somewhere. Useless information.
Yeah, just got to get the recall going.
And
No, the last time I saw anything on there, it was basically just Baldwin screaming about Trump. And it was just like, this isn't very funny.
It's a lot of that. I mean, that passes for comedy lately, which is fine. You know what I mean? It's whatever. Like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, I mean,
I just wish some of the jokes had been funny. Like any of the Trump stuff, I just wish it had been funny. Like, he's got tiny hands 90,000 times the same fucking joke. And it's like,
it's like you could have at least went to the levels of, hey, saying his hairpiece or whatever is sentient or some,
Yeah.
The worst was the late night TV stuff that did that.
Yeah, well, it was just blatant angry screaming, and it's no real attempt at comedy.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Everybody was like, "Oh my god, did you see that Colbert called his mouth a cock holster?" And it's like, I mean, I don't give a fuck about sort of the decorum around the presidency, or anything like that. But also, just like that's not like bold. Like he knows nothing happens. That script was very likely vetted by NBC before he said anything. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Or when they tried to make it, when he was doing the little sort of football-like diagram, and he makes it into a swastika. Yeah. It's like, really?
Hey, man, you gotta this high-level stuff. You just don't understand.
Of course.
Yeah,
To be fair, you have to have a very high IQ to understand.
Yeah.
Watch SNL. Yeah.
Rick and Morty and hating Trump are, they're
clearly
basically the same if you think about it.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, think about it. That guy who got up there screaming about Szechuan sauce or whatever, that's anti-Trump people.
That guy turned out to be acting, by the way.
That doesn't make it any less stupid.
It's good that he was paid.
I just find it hilarious that
these fucking McDonald's shills are trying to undo democracy. That's what it is. These fucking paid McDonald's communists. I fucking knew it. It's McDonald's and Marxism all the way down. We're unraveling this conspiracy.
Well, hey, you do think red and yellow when you see their logo.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's the X-Files music.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have that drop in. We should totally get that.
Speaking of which, you hear about the Karl Marx anime?
Wait, what?
China's making a Karl Marx. It's not really anime, but China's doing a Karl Marx anime.
Do they pay
Communism
their workers?
is really good, guys. We swear.
It's gonna be. You know what's fine though is it's gonna be. You guys think it's gonna be that, and then it's gonna turn out to be this like Shonen Ai kind of fucking roses in the background and Karl Marx like
he's actually a kung fu master or some shit.
Like Chairman Mao and Karl Marx love story in high school.
Yeah. But here's the real question: Are the workers
third party?
Are the workers who are animating it going to be paid?
They will all be paid exactly the same as the director.
Yeah.
So it's okay. It's the Hollywood version of like everybody's equal pay, man. No problem.
No, it'll be funny. They get paid more than the actual Japanese animators.
Probably would at this point, depending on the studio.
Yeah, the way they farm that stuff out these days. Yeah, which we'll get to that a little later because that's
especially on the hentai
in.
Side of things. Holy God, the fucking quality in hentai is just—it's got to be one guy in like in his bedroom with a copy of After Effects, just like I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, that's to be fair. That's what's that studio? Queen Bee.
Yeah, Queen Bee.
They're the worst.
There's a couple. You still got like Mary Jane and T-Rex doing good.
I was just gonna say, Mary Jane is the
what's it? Suzuki Murano and a couple other ones that are doing decent
Pink
work.
Pineapple.
Yeah, Pink Pineapple, like they dip really hard. Something like there's the like low budget Pink Pineapple shit, and then there's the stuff like
and there's the classy sort of like late night Skinamax, high production values, sort of. Yeah.
What's the one you like? What's the one you like, Anubis? I mean, K-Gods. What's the one that you like that you're always? Oh no, Poro. That's it.
No. I like them. They're same though. The thing, actually, I think it's Suku who likes them more than I do. Not really a big studio guy with hentai anymore. It's just whatever you got.
Yeah, exactly.
Although Queen Bee is basically like saying, "Hey, dude, your thermostat has a biohazard symbol on it. You want to drink it?"
It's so good though. Like, there's just something fantastic about the fact that it's so unapologetically trash. Bad. Like,
yeah, that it's just like, this is not very visually pleasing, and we don't care.
We traced a picture, like a panel from the Arrow manga that this is based on, and now we're wiggling it around in either live 2D or just After Effects plugins or something. And it's just like what's great is when they try to be kind of ambitious with it, and it just doesn't work out. Like, they try to do more motion than their paper dolls,
and it starts looking like old South Park episodes or something where it's
glorious.
Yeah. Okay, we should probably get going.
Started. All right. Good.
You got everything rolling here?
Everything is all set. Ready in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to NTR Radio. I'm Tom Forrest Anubis.
I'm K-Gods.
And I'm VZ Mark II on an actual working computer.
VZ's computer works, and we have a guest up in here this evening.
Hey, it's me. I'm Wombat Onichan. I got like 900 different names. If you're an old school anime blog guy, I used to run Ikuma Show and the Dasaku hosting service. I still run onichannoechi.com. And I'm just generally obnoxious and poor. Those are my two defining traits in the anime world.
And you have a much better radio voice than I do. So
yeah, I paid good money for this though. That's why I bring out my
show. I used to listen to your old podcast.
I used to listen to your when you would basically watch hentai and make commentary.
I still do all that. I stopped doing it from like 2011 and then I did like 2 episodes in 2015, and now I'm back to it because I kind of realized I hate everything else, and I'm sick of the way people are talking about hentai and anime in general. So I was like, fuck it, I'll come out of retirement and continue to be a nobody.
Remember all the anti-moe people I would point out to you?
Yeah, it's
back in the day.
Well, the thing is they're not really, they're still there, but not like they were.
No,
yeah, now they've become this curmudgeonly little side piece, right? Like, it used to be every other day you'd have like Tim Mon and I don't know exactly how to say his name.
A&N or
he's
somebody.
Moved on to being like a pompous politics boy now, and he's too good for anime.
Like, and even some of the ones who are still in anime have moved on to being pompous.
Yeah, like Colony Drop. Yeah. Or so on.
They're connected, right? Like, it's either this idea of that moe is serving, man children, or like either both sides hate that, right? Like, they both they hate man children because they're manly men and everything should be all the time.
Have you seen any selfies of these people?
Yeah. Or it's their man children because they're unwilling to realize that the most important thing is communism. Comrade, if you don't watch all the best, like, it's
Red Line
and communism, and those are the only true ways to justice.
No, what is it?
But not Gundam Wing.
Actually, what is it? I don't know. What did you say, K-Gods?
I was saying, well, these days that would probably be actually one of the big ones to watch because of the whole the yaoi bait.
No, I was gonna say
we should probably have people come into the thing.
Yeah, so here's what you do to get involved with the show live. You bring yourself to ntrradio.net, click on the chat link, give yourself a nickname, hit the button, join us in the IRC channel. Alternatively, take your favorite IRC client and point it at irc.ryzen.net and join us in the # SLC Media channel. In addition, you can get at us on Twitter at TAnubis, at VZMK2, at Immortal_KGods, and at NTR Radio. And as always, the email address to get involved with the show is ntrradio@gmail.com.
In case you want to sign us up to, like, Nigerian porn scams or something like that.
That'd be great if they were porn scams, but it's always just,
It's always just like, it's just like, hey, your uncle died and you need to stay at a haunted mansion and, yeah.
A buddy of mine got one of those the other day that was saying his dad was in Ukraine and had lost his passport. So he needed to wire money to this town called like Dirtsk, Ukraine or whatever, which is down in the southeast corner of Ukraine. The country my friend's from has one consulate in Ukraine, and the email mentioned, so I can go to the consulate and they'll get me a flight back home. The one consulate is not in that city. In fact, it's 300 miles away, basically on the other side of the country.
Shit.
Yeah. So not a great scam if you take 2 seconds and just go, that's weird that my family has gone to Ukraine for some reason without mentioning it.
Yeah, the best I've seen of those is either they try to get you with the tech support thing, which if anybody's ever dealt with tech support, they know they don't call you.
Yeah.
But the best thing I did with that, and the best way I found to mess with them, is to say that you're a systems analyst. And then, like, it gets real quiet.
I go, okay, thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks like we cleared everything up.
Yeah, exactly.
I got it all cleared up on my end. All I've been getting lately are Chinese spam phone calls. And I don't speak Chinese, so I don't know what
the fuck they're trying to milk you out of.
Like, yeah, it's like 2 a day sometimes. And they leave like 45-second voicemails that's just a Chinese recording with weird music playing in the background. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it, but like I kind of want to call back just to see, like, does anybody speak English there? Could we, I'll just start reading my credit card number when I call back and see what they do, see if they work with that. Like, hey, I'm literally the most gullible human on the planet. I assume you called because you want my credit card number. Here you go.
Or maybe it's the Falun Gong trying to get more people involved.
There you go.
Oh, or the other one you get are people saying that your vehicle is about to, the insurance or whatever is about to expire.
That one, the IRS one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great because I got that and it was like, oh, your plates are about to expire, and it's just like,
the government always does text-to-speech phone calls about your about your pending IRS.
Yeah, about an audit
definitely.
about to hit you.
You're about to get taken to jail for.
So let's talk about shit we've been watching.
Sure.
Mine's short. Literally the only thing I've been watching is Bunny Girl Senpai.
Have you caught up with all of it, or?
Yeah, no, I actually caught up with it earlier today.
Did it end
Continues
today?
to be raising. No, it ends next week, I believe.
So yeah, just like Senran Kagura.
Yeah, just like pretty much the same.
That one, well, Senran Kagura, that show's been going downhill for me. It doesn't have the charm the original one had.
It tries to be, I'm watching it, but one of the things I have with it is it's almost trying to be too dark for its own good.
Yeah.
It doesn't really work quite as well for me in that department.
What's weird is the games go there, but they don't go there at like the beginning of the game. Everything usually kind of starts out whatever, and then it's obviously the super campy, kind of fun,
walking on sunshine kind of shit,
like over dramatic story that then just try to kind of out of nowhere be serious for like 10 minutes. So
my bra doesn't fit.
But yeah, I don't know. I still don't quite understand. Like, I own, I think, 4 or 5 Senran Kagura games. I still don't quite understand why it got an anime, which is kind of maybe a weird saying because, of course,
it's an advertisement.
Yeah, everything has to get an
as if you need external advertisements.
The original one was so good.
But
the original one was really charming, and
as if you need external advertisements to sell lesbian titty ninjas.
Yeah.
But I almost wonder about that in the same way. I mean, we were talking about Queen Bee before we went live, and I almost wonder about it in the same way, because I've said this a couple times on Nichan no Echi, is I think Queen Bee, to me, actually kind of hurts the Arrow manga that they're supposed to be kind of giving a new audience to by creating,
by making it worse.
Yeah,
that looks terrible. And I almost wonder about that with like Senran Kagura. Like, if you watch that and you get this real, morose, over the top thing, like they're not really selling you the games properly,
Well, it's like about some of the shows that I'm not watching the show, but what's that one? My Sister, My Sitter.
All
My
the
Sister, My
writer,
Writer.
Sister's a writer, and it's fucking. It's
Yeah. It's like, again, I guess that maybe they'll go into the topic later, but like how there's the argument that some people put forth that there's too much anime being produced and that it's like really hurting the industry. That the demand is higher than what the supply can give.
Yeah, it's a curious like suggestion. I don't think that that's necessarily the case. Like, I think it's the same problem that you have with the sort of middling quality of Hollywood movies and things like that. Like, there's not too much necessarily, like with superhero movies or whatever. It's just at a certain point it becomes this horribly uninspired dreck that's getting forced out. So if the quality was there, you could have that much. But I also think there's probably an argument to be made that literally the entire industry is feeding off of light novels at this point, which is not necessarily bad in and of itself, but
it's there, but not everything is all based on light novels.
Yeah, not everything.
Some of them are visual novels.
Yeah, so some of them are visual novels, and then there's like 2 that are based on manga, which are probably web manga that are made by some guy who didn't have an editor for the first 50 chapters of the thing he was making. So
yeah,
but that's always Japan's core problem, right? Is they see a thing that's successful and they both do it to death and then grab every single version of it. Like, I don't know how many isekai manga and light novels I've just read the first chapter of and literally hit the same fucking beats every time. Guy dies, visits the god. They explain the monetary system. You know what I mean? Like,
last show we were talking about. I don't think this is your forte, but it should provide some interesting insight. 80s mecha anime. Right, we were talking about 80s anime, and because this is kind of like one of my specialties, I was just bringing up like how that early 80s, especially like 83, 84, was like the most saturated year for robot anime on TV, and the majority of it was there to sell product.
Yeah, what I think
every era has its oversaturation.
Yeah,
in the 70s it was super robots. In the 70s and in early 80s, it was super robots. After Gundam got real huge, it was real robots. In the early 2000s, it was mid-level romance comedies.
Don't forget Tsundere stuff. Just in general. I mean, that was everywhere.
Like early 2K, Zero Note Sky.
Oh, listen. If you wanted to find one aspect to define like the 90s that nobody brings up, but when I think of the 90s, I think of this anime based on fighting games.
Yeah, because you had your Fatal Fury and all that.
Yeah, Street Fighter and Fatal Fury were like kind of like seen as the high point, but then there was like
wasn't Toshinden made into an anime?
Yes,
at some point?
yes. Ballerina, Toshinden. Your favorite one, Anubis?
Tekken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot there was a Tekken anime. Thank you for reminding that.
Yeah, it has the anime's actually
that was sarcastic, by the way.
Art of fighting.
I don't want to be reminded that there's a Tekken anime.
Yeah, the fact that there's an anime brings to the point that I think it's actually worse
than
I think it's worse than the actual game.
Did Rival Schools ever get a show?
That one, I don't think so.
It seems like that's like the one that was tailor-made to get like a show.
Dead or Alive. Dead or Alive didn't get an anime either.
It got a movie in Germany.
Oh,
which is
that never came out. Like
which is ridiculous in the sense that of all the fighting games, that one just lends itself perfectly to marketing and
but
other shows I'm watching. Okay, I'll throw some out there.
Yeah.
I'm behind, of course, But Goblin Slayer, I'm at episode 9. Yeah. And first off, he needs to just bang the Sword Maiden and get it over with. I mean,
Listen, Goblin Slayer is on a mission.
Just start holding your breath down, dude. It's totally going to happen any minute.
Yeah, of course it will. But here's the thing. It's like, come on, she has hardened nipples while she's talking to him.
Listen, the man's on a mission, and that mission does not involve banging of any kind.
Right?
Yeah, I know.
Is she a goblin? I don't think so.
Yeah, I know.
He can't even see her when he looks at her.
Yeah. Like he's the one with the blindfold. Yeah. Anyway, besides that, Gridman, or as they would say, Gridelman, or yeah, exactly. Oh, that was fantastic. Same thing. Episode 9. Basically, what's her name? Akane basically just said, "I made you basically to be my friend," which is kind of a strange statement. Almost sounds like something some teenage boy says when he discovers masturbation or something.
I can make my own character creator.
Basically, I made you in Mario Maker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, those are the ones I'm watching. I'm still Senran Kagura as well. And again, I don't dislike it. It's just it feels less fun when they're trying to make it as dark as it is. It's I don't know. It doesn't feel like the kind of show you want to link to that.
I'm gonna be very real. I basically don't pay attention. Like, I know what the story is. I know what the themes they're going for or not, but I basically don't pay attention at all when I play when I play the games.
Yeah, just rough it in,
No.
Yeah, it doesn't. I get that. I get that it actually has a story.
Well, I don't own any consoles, so I can't consume it in that way.
It's just a Dynasty Warriors game with titties to me, which is all I want from it, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean that's not a complaint or anything.
It's not shitting on Senran Kagura. I love the game.
Bring in
about the story.
Bring in iOS Senran Kagura game here, and I'll.
Yeah, you're better off just picking something off of Steam than that.
Yeah, you can get it on Steam.
Yeah, they've got the Splash thing and the food show one.
Yep. They got Estival versus and
I think they got most of them now, except for the modern console releases, which aren't quite there yet.
Well, here's the thing about me. I'm a Mac user, so Steam, but no Steam for me.
Yeah, Steam works on Mac. It's just some games don't like port over.
Yeah, and those they're not likely to port.
Yeah.
Because Japan just figured out that the PC was a place that they could sell stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 3 years ago, not even.
Yeah. Well, you can't get everything out of a vending machine.
Well, I feel like that's a challenge that you're.
Yeah. Well,
you're leveling at them, like, right?
It's like, well, fine. We'll put a Mac inside the vending machine.
That's going to be a light novel now. If somebody hears it.
No.
And out came a cute little sister or something. Boom, done. The next light novel craze. Vending machine isekai.
There already is a vending machine isekai.
Yeah, there actually is.
Reborn as a vending machine. I now wander the dungeon.
Jesus, great!
Like he's not even joking. It's one of those things.
It's why I'm sighing is because I'm gonna go look it up and read it.
I had to buy it because it had a ridiculous title like that. Yeah. I have to buy it.
I'm reading the fucking onsen one, which is great as well, where the guy gets reincarnated as a hot springs. So that was fucking just a real waste of my time, but I keep reading it.
No, we're gonna. Yeah, is it mixed bathing or not?
It is. Like, it starts out as just a little thing, but it grows as he levels up, right? Because it's still got the RPG mechanics, and then they split the bath. And there's like a great scene where the first time a dude gets in the bath.
Listen, people shit on the isekai light novel genre, but I see a lot of potential in it because you just need to mix in a whole bunch of ridiculous shit in a RPG fantasy world and congratulations, you have your isekai light novel.
Well, that's one of the things that I actually like about it. As much as I'd probably make fun of the industry for literally grabbing up everything and people jumping on trends, it's one of those things that you get to see basically every permutation that any even mildly talented person's ever going to come up with for this premise, which I think is great, because a lot of it's crap and a lot of it walks the same sort of route, but you know, there's a lot of unique stuff in there buried in it, and the stuff that's not that unique is still fine because it's got titties, so who really gives a shit?
Hey,
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, yeah. If he wouldn't have said it, I probably wouldn't have believed him about the whole vending machine in the dungeon thing. Because like
I had
that sounds so outlandish. It's
I
like,
had
wait,
to
what?
get the book to prove to people that this thing exists.
But it's worth existing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? There's value in that sort of ridiculous trash.
So what I'll do now is I'll go to the bookstore and I'll just pick up isekai light novels that sound interesting. They did an interesting title. I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. Okay, I guess I have to buy this book now.
Is there one about the Kennedy assassination yet?
Yeah.
No, we haven't reached that light novel paradigm.
We gotta dive deep for that sort of stuff. Just anything that says unique cheat in the title. There's like 50 of those.
Turns out 9/11 was.
Oh no!
Turns out 9/11 was my cute little sister in a different world.
Yeah. Yes. Like it would be some horrible shit. Like the plane is an anthropomorphic version of a reincarnated. Yeah,
that's a terrible thing to die and get reincarnated as.
Yeah. It's an airplane that goes into a building.
My little sister is also the plane.
My little sister
is a plane crash.
Reincarnated as the plane. Oh wow.
But yeah, or the tower itself. Or
He's got a protector.
Yeah.
He's got to level up.
The Pentagon. Yeah.
His Osanano Jimmy is the Pentagon, so he's torn. I can't be in New York and DC at the same time in another world.
We're gonna get yanked off the air for this shit. You know it.
Moe anthropomorphized skyscrapers.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't done that one yet.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's already anthro jets all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
all right. So
seems like a natural conclusion.
Shit, I'm watching. I already mentioned Senran Kagura. And as far as Gridman, I saw the last episode. I won't spoil it, but it was a really good ending.
You know what I like about Gridman that I feel like it's worth throwing in there is that it's good to see Trigger step into a different kind of mode a little bit. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah.
I feel like there's that, like, obviously anything Imaishi does is going to have this major like feel to it, and it's good to see them doing stuff that I think it kind of forces you to stop looking at Trigger as like, look, they're awesome, but they're no KyoAni. So I feel like a show like Gridman, it's like, you know, it takes an old license and revitalizes it.
Oh, I watched the original show, by the way.
Yeah, I watched Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad as well.
Well, no, not just that, the actual Gridman.
Actual Gridman.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I think it did good stuff with it. I think fans of both Gridman and, I mean, if you're a fan of Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, you're probably just happy to be getting a fucking shout out in the title, because I know I was. Like, Tim Curry, anytime I get to think about Tim Curry, I'm a happy boy. But like, I think it's one of those shows that's got mass appeal. It's animated, I'll say, with some constraint, you know, a little bit of restraint on it, unlike the sort of Kill la Kill.
The only thing I think is it would have maybe been better as a 26 episode show.
I don't know if they're doing like, so it seems like you've got to really do some special shit to do that, and it might have just been like them thinking about the budget, right? Like KyoAni is going to have no problem getting the budget for that sort of stuff, whereas I don't know if Trigger is bankable.
Gonna have to send in the gonna have to send in like the hookers and blow and
Well, the reason why I say it would have been cool as a 26 because if you know anything about the original show, there was the one team of vehicles but then there was the other team of vehicles that turned into the dragon and then turned into the combined mode. It would have been cool if they referenced that, but again, I guess they wanted to keep it.
This is a good point that we're actually going to bring up in the next segment, in the sort of the creation part of it, I think.
Yeah.
About episode counts going down and whatnot.
Yeah.
I think that's a good talking point.
So what is it? The other stuff I'm watching is I saw the last episode the other day of
He's trying so hard not to smirk.
No, Miss Vampire. Well, no, I was gonna say Miss Vampire Who Lives in a Neighborhood. Which that one, that was a cute show overall.
I'm sorry, but you saying that, the only thing I can think of is Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Vampire's Neighborhood.
Yeah. It's like,
won't you be my neighbor?
Yeah, won't you be my neighbor?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
What else? There's the Side M anime short that I'm still watching. And,
I need to pick up some shorts.
And Uza made ended, which was that one kind of went down for me. It started great in the beginning because Dogakobo's production value.
Shout out to Gatorade.
But it does that thing, not to the fault of the show, not to the fault of Dogakobo, but more of, I feel like it does that thing that, which is why I never got into Kodomo no Jikan, is it tries to do the serious thing about like, oh, the mother's dead and all that.
So you're just not a man of culture.
Yeah, it's clearly not.
Listen, I like my Lolicon anime fun.
Which so just Moe-tan and what else is there? So you're gonna pass on Dance in the Vampire Boon though?
I never saw Dance in the Vampire. I never watched Dance in the Vampire.
It's a real pain to get through.
The manga is much better than the show.
That's one of the few Shaft shows I haven't watched.
Except the manga got canceled weirdly in the middle, and then they did this weird always on hiatus second volume with a different magazine, because the whole lolly band, every magazine takes turns getting real nervous about it.
No, my like Lolicon anime stuff like Kanamemo, Rokubu, what was some other great ones?
First of all, I'm going to just put this out there. Kodomo no Jikan is an absolute work of art, and you're a Philistine, all right? And you
all right. I'll check it out one day. I should.
Frankly, I would say read the manga, though.
Yeah.
The anime is good, and the second season's well done as well.
I've only seen the OVA. That's the only thing I ever... Yeah. The OVA that came out before the show.
The best thing about the anime version of it... The best thing about the anime version of it that I've always liked was the no sign, how they used that, the kanji to block shit.
Yeah.
I always thought that was fun.
But the best show, my favorite show this season, and also had a great ending, Anima Yell. Which
insert urge to make old Yeller references.
Which is the Moe and cheerleading show. Great show overall. Definitely my favorite from the season. As you can see by the art that I've been making, one girl I really like from it.
Hey, if you're going to really be big on something, there's nothing wrong with sort of engaging in promoting it in that way.
Yep.
I don't think we'll get another season, but that's okay. Sometimes the one and done is okay.
Well, I think one and dones are better than them dragging it out into a bad second season.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Monogatari.
Gunslinger Girls.
Five unnecessary seasons or whatever.
No, yeah.
I mean, I'll still watch anything that they'll do with them, but it's clearly way over.
Well, I'll just watch anything Shimbo touches, right?
Yeah, basically. I mean, I'll give it a shot at least.
Yeah.
I forgot that Shimbo worked on Asarate's Toy. That's another show that people really...
That was a 5-minute controversy.
People freaked out about.
Yeah, well, that's all it ever is, right? They come in just long enough to slander whoever the creator is, and then they fuck off back to whatever goofy bullshit they're upset about this week. Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I still fucking hate 7 Seas. I'll bring it up. Fucking It's 2007 or some shit. I don't care. Fucking shit talking Watashiya Sensei because we didn't know the Kodomo. We're gonna put out Kodomo no Jikan, and he
digital
reciprocates her feelings. Fuck you, whatever that guy's name is that runs 7 Seas, you prick.
But what's his face? The digital version from Project 8 got pulled.
Yeah, it's just whatever. That like there's a million other fucking shows and manga that do the same shit, but for some reason that one they go after. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with Anime News Network's forums. That's what I'm going to blame.
They need a hobby.
They really do. They need to fuck off. They just let me put my
but see, that's a hobby
publicly.
too. I mean,
the whole industry in North America can just die. We don't need it. Like, there's no need for the American anime or manga industry. Scanslators do everything. Like,
no, I like to support the official thing. I like to support
you then buy the Blu-rays on Amazon.jp.
But I'm not spending $360 on something
so you don't like supporting the actual creator. I'll tell you very little of that money.
I would love to.
That money gets back to the creators, by the way. I was going to start a manga publishing company, and by the time, like, maybe 20 cents a book, like, for manga gets back to the actual creators. In the case of anime, it's very unlikely that any of it gets back for American release.
Oh, listen, if I truly want to support, I just buy the figures of the show that I'm into.
Okay, we need to bring this into the next segment because that's actually going to be prominent.
Oh, well, real fast. I got a new figure. Anubis got new figures.
Are you going to what of exactly?
All right, I got an Nendoroid of Sharo from Is the Order Rabbit.
Yep.
No surprise there. Okay.
Not the best character, but I'm on board.
Oh, fired.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone knows
I got her pre-ordered too. She's coming next year. Got a while, but okay. What'd you get?
First things first. I have Len from Gun Girl Online by Bam Presto.
No surprise there.
Yeah, no.
For a second, the way you were holding it, it looked like they had an amputated leg.
A little bit, yeah.
Could also, and that's workable.
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen enough hentai and stuff, that doesn't mean anything.
And then the other one I have is Nendoroid Elf Yamada.
Best girl, right?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, best girl for you, for him. I liked the other one that
you're outvoted 3-1.
Whatever the hell her name is.
Who the bitch?
Yeah.
But look at her fingers have tape on them. Come on.
No, these her fingers have tape. Yeah, she's also a bitch.
But I like the girl that's
she gets there eventually.
I don't. She comes around. That's like saying, okay, I'm gonna give you $5, but first I'm gonna punch you in the face for 10 minutes.
Yeah, but if you're into that, but if you're into it,
it's also a prerequisite to joining the Proud Boys.
I also liked Sagiri's friend.
The chick that keeps saying she likes dick or whatever.
Yeah. I like her on principle.
Yeah, I like her enthusiasm. She's got a positive attitude, real can do. Oh, before we go to another section,
I can
express vocal disappointment that only one person mentioned Bunny Girl Senpai, because that's a fucking great, especially the manga. I read all the way through already, and Uchi no Maid did not get brought up at all, which makes you all.
I said Uchi Maid. Uchi Maid. Yeah.
We just didn't talk about it enough. What a great show.
I said
that one seems to be pissing off a lot of idiots.
That's part of the show I'm going to catch up on next.
That was the one that
really good.
I said was kind of being a little too much like the Komoro Jikan.
Oh, okay. That's why I heard one of my favorite of all time, and I just lost all perspective. That's what.
Okay.
It happens.
I hear K and J, and I got to look.
It's like PB and J.
It's such a good book. She is a fantastic. If you haven't read it, what the fuck's it called? It's like Ojo Sama no Jo or something like that. I don't remember. I'll have to look it up. It's Watashia's newer book where it's about this guy doing manga and he's terrible. It's great comedy. She's such a good writer.
I know that the artist is the same one that used to do Super Robot Wars Dojins.
That's an interesting.
Yeah, no, but it's Super Robot involving the lolly from that franchise, so it's not that far off.
No, I'm just saying that's an interesting tie-in, I guess.
I think was it Joe Samano Eshi? Is that it? Let me find it. Hold on.
Let me check my collection here.
It's somewhere in my. I wanted to find it quicker than that, but it's somewhere in my fucking 900 volumes. That fucking doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think it's Joe Samano Eshi.
If not, someone can always just type in the name and look at their sort of works.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will be listed.
Yeah, it's on manga updates or whatever. So.
Yeah.
In any case, we're up against the break. Keep it right here on NTR Radio.
Okay, I will be right back.
Roger that.
Engaging in we engage in heresy here on NTR Radio.
There.
Oh man.
We used to joke that we were banned in Canada. Which wouldn't be hard to do these days.
I imagine, no, yeah.
Banned in Canada, but big in Germany.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. If you look at our specs, you'll see a lot of them are actually downloaded from Germany.
That's good. You know what I mean? The Germans need
that was a while ago, so it might have been.
It might be different now, I guess. Yeah.
Let's believe that Germany's still strong. Every German person I've ever known has been funny and very easygoing, even though Germany, like their politicians and their culture, are like
have always been a little off.
You know?
Yeah.
It's always weird to me how different that is. I mean, I guess it's the same thing kind of everywhere. Like the people are kind of nothing like the
people who are running it.
Gives everybody, yeah.
Like
Japan, I don't know any individuals who give me the same like feeling that when you just think about Japan, the country, and like rule loving, fastidious, like nobody actually lives that way until they're up against interacting with other people. Like they're all just great individuals, and then then they run into society as if society is a fucking wall that ruins their ability to enjoy themselves.
No, you brought up something very interesting that would probably be better discussed in the next segment, but I'm going to do it here anyway. One thing, and I'm sure you've noticed this too, the UK is very interesting as far as anime goes. It's like the fan base there's a lot of, let's just say, carefully cultivated hatred of most of the stuff coming out these days, it seems like. And I think that comes back to like manga UK and things like that, where they sort of tried to make anime look like this 80s action movie montage.
A lot of the marketing around anime.
Yeah, it was
like back then in the UK and here as well. It was like,
but
anime
over there specifically was worse though.
It's not like the cartoons you're used to. It's violent and has blood and swearing,
shower scenes, and occasionally, and but the funny
Ball, I hear they even used to flip people off until the Blu-ray releases.
And pee on stuff. So if you're into water sports,
Dragon Ball 2, fucking all the Bulma scenes.
Oh yeah,
she's trying to get Roshi to do whatever.
It's
fantastic every time.
It's easy to see what Vegeta saw in her.
Yeah. Bulma knows how to throw down to get shit done, right? She wanted to be pregnant with a strong baby, I guess probably we can say as some subtext, and then bam.
Yep. What's funny about that is actually when that originally came to a head in DBZ, I remember first reading about that and I was like, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. But the longer it went on, the more it actually did.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that if you just read it on paper, you're like, wait, what?
Yeah. I mean, it really, as for like a character perspective, works really well. Vegeta and Bulma.
So yeah, I mean, it was
he
one of
kind
those.
of wants to be henpecked. You feel like he always wants to be second place, like on some level, because it gives him something
It gives him
to
an
strive for.
it gives him an excuse to like behave the way he does.
Yeah. So like, yeah, he's always second to Kakarot. So he fucking, you know, of course he picks Bulma so he can,
Yeah.
so he can be henpecked all the time.
Yeah. Did you see that absolutely fucking fantastic piece of art that was floating around? That was the Macy's Day Parade or whatever, and it has the big blown up Goku with the hole in it, and you see Vegeta in the background with a fucking slingshot. He's hiding it behind his back. that was just fantastic.
That'd be great. I want that to really happen. I want that to happen in the actual Macy's.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like
But
some
we'll get Vegeta from
some cosplayer in there.
You know, so that it makes sense to the kids.
Yeah.
All right.
That's great. He's fumbling around getting his equipment ready to
When
get.
are we gonna get a new live action Dragon Ball movie? That's my question.
Yeah, because the first one was so great.
Yeah. And I mean, Battle Angel Alita doesn't look fucking horrifying at all. So that's
I thought Cameron was supposed to be doing that.
He's the
Yes.
producer.
yeah. He bought the rights 100 years ago, and now he realized he's an old, incompetent man, so he stepped down, unlike Ridley Scott.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, nah, he's just gonna work on some more Avatar related crap.
Well, that was supposed to be a trilogy.
Yeah.
They're still in production, I think. Actually, it was 5 movies they had planned.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I like
so
how they have all these.
I'm going to say the same thing about that I said about Duke Nukem Forever back when that was on the horizon. Either they're not working on it or they started over twice.
I love when they make these big projects like, oh, we're gonna make 5 movies. It's like you might want to get one of them out first.
That was exactly
the problem with like back when for like the 30 seconds when episodic games were like the real big thing that they were doing. Oh, we're gonna have Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and it makes sense because like, okay, it's gonna have a shorter turnaround. We're gonna be able to put out these games like lightning quick insofar as game designing goes, and we'll be able to do that. And then they just fall off on these projects because
that was like
why?
That was like when last year when the Power Rangers movie came out, which I actually liked. And then they were like, we're gonna make 5 movies.
So,
And then it turned out to be a bomb. Turned out to be not.
Yeah.
Like it's like, well, how about see how the first one goes?
Yeah. You know, proof of concept and everything is.
Let's make a completed story in the first one, and
The
then if it does
Ghostbusters
well.
franchise
You know that in a way that kind of ties into again our coming topic, because it's like how I think the best thing is when you have a show that's kind of both complete but then also open-ended enough where
you could keep working on.
exactly.
I mean, because let's be honest. For example, there's Toy Story 4 that's coming out.
Yeah.
And that is completely unnecessary.
We all
You've
asked
seen
for
this
it.
Three was fine where it is.
3 ended it. You know, it should have probably stopped there. They're rebooting it just feels sort of like a cash grab. I mean, I mean, Disney is certainly no stranger to cash grabs. But
yeah, you know what they're saying? They want to reboot. No,
I have a feeling I'm going to scream, aren't I?
Star Wars.
At this point, who cares?
Yeah, they should. Well, number one, I'm not gonna care. I'm done with Star Wars. But number two, yeah, they should. Go ahead, do it.
We're gonna make the less problematic Star Wars.
Okay, now that I have a problem with.
Oh no!
I don't. Go ahead. Go ahead. Ruin your franchise.
Yeah. See, instead of Han Solo, or vice versa.
Yeah, instead of being no, you're missing the point. Han Solo, instead of being captured by Jabba, will marry him.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's good. It's romantic.
No.
I think the problem with stuff like Star Wars and sci-fi too is that you've got a massive studio system that doesn't understand sci-fi, or the fact that they have a universe that everybody already understands, and they can just tell stories in that universe. Like that's fine.
They could have done that.
I agree.
Without trying to tell.
It's a galaxy. There's a billion systems in a galaxy.
Yeah, there's a bunch of interesting stuff. That's why people are kind of vaguely excited for The Mandalorian, the TV show they're doing.
Just make stuff like Rogue One and and they had the friggin'
Yeah, but good though.
yeah, but good. But I'm saying
Even Rogue One tried to tie in, like,
in that
let
same vein,
the trilogies be done. Like, they're done, they're over there. Just tell a whole different story.
like let that be one story, and then
Do what
tell
Gundam
a
did,
story.
where you have the
Exactly.
side stories where you can just work within the established
You got
universe.
the-
You can
got
play with it.
the main TV series in there, and then you've got Thunderbolt, and that's all over here in the side.
Right.
You've got
It's like I said,
Triple
again,
80,
it makes me
that's
a
over here in the side.
major nerd, but we run an anime podcast.
Can't get
So-
nerdier than that.
We're not
Yeah,
nerds.
no, you really can't.
Yeah, I don't think you need to duck nerd around here. Nobody's coming at you in the locker room, man. You're gonna be all right.
Yeah. And if not, there's always switchblades.
I make my own fan art. There you go. You can't get.
No. I can think of worse than that. Make your own fan art, but you also fap to it.
There we go.
Yeah. See.
Well, okay. I regularly tell other business people in a networking context that I sell anime figures.
Hey.
There we go. Let's get into the second segment.
You gotta own it. That's what I'm saying. That's my whole.
Well, yeah,
you know.
that's like that Kurt. That what was his name? Kurt Eichenwald.
Yeah, he tried to
Yeah.
duck it.
Yep.
If he just owned that shit and said, hell yeah,
Nobody would.
what's up?
Less people would have gave him shit for it. I guarantee it.
100%.
That's what because I mean, if you can believe it, I'm a slightly more confident guy and better at talking than a lot of nerds. I've known a lot of nerds, and they're always like, "Oh, people, whatever. I don't want to be creepy." I'm just like, just own the shit, man. Like you're creepy when you feel weird about it.
What's our favorite line, Anubis? We don't all have to be
no,
nerds.
we don't have to be nerds. We can talk about football.
Football. Oh yeah.
Football, girls.
No. There was actually a Wombat. There was actually a guy who said that.
Yes, that's what.
This isn't something we made up. This is a quote from somebody.
Then you just politely just
This
say,
is, well, okay,
This
no,
is not a toy
this
convention.
is a quote from somebody who was a regular poster on a toy forum.
Yeah, and this was a toy collecting, vintage Japanese toys.
And they used to meet up for some gay orgy or something.
I'm not hating on toy collecting.
Oh,
but
no.
I'm hating on not owning up to it.
No, yeah, exactly.
Well, again, that's the problem. It's the same problem of like, oh, this needs to be made in such a way that it's respectable in the mainstream, and it's like, no, it doesn't. They could all just get the fuck out of my hobby, and who cares? Like, let's
get into the second segment because it's going to be kind of about that.
This person also said the word advanced capitalism, which I
know. Oh yeah.
We've got several jokes from this.
High-level capitalism.
This wonderfully intelligent individual.
Right,
possibly level 30 plus.
Let's get into the next
double plus.
Next
Good.
segment.
Yeah.
In 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to NTR Radio.
We're back. A dinosaur story.
No. Yeah. So what we're gonna do for this last episode of 2018 is we're gonna talk about the state of the anime industry in 2018.
Yes. So let's start probably at the root, which is the creation aspect of it, which means, of course, moving over to Japan for the discussion, because unlike some people, we're not counting stuff that's made here that's hybrids or things like that.
What you mean that show Crunchyroll's going to put out that looks just great?
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, we actually are going to talk about that.
It looks just grand. I'm excited for it.
So original.
Fantastic.
So creative.
I'm excited for the ER video it's going to spawn.
Yeah. So the creation, the way anime is made, we've actually covered that a couple times.
It's made in a committee room, right?
Yes.
And they take one guy yells at another. Yes, it's a giant committee room. It's like, okay, we got to take this thing and this thing and this thing. We got to put it all together.
That's how it's made.
Yeah.
But that's how it's made. But the real thing is, people portray that as a bad thing when that's just how the industry works.
Well, you also got people that seem to think there's just a bunch of Japanese men with cigars. They're like, how can we oppress women with our cartoons today?
It's harder than you'd think. I mean, those guys are doing high-level thinking to get that job done.
We're going to make a show where no female character will wear pants.
You gotta love how that probably you would have loved to have been a fly on the wall with that conversation. I would have, just because I think it would have been entertaining, just how they're explaining it to each other back and forth, like, oh, we should do this or that.
It's like, guys, hold on. How about a show about
all the characters will be named after World War II pilots and things like that.
They don't wear
show
pants.
about
They have
lesbians.
leg propellers.
But they're not just lesbians. They're also got big titties.
Yeah.
Oh, not all of them do.
And also, they're ninjas.
Oh, you're thinking, yeah, Senator and Kagura, yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
I was going strike witches because cat girl, propeller leg, lesbians with no pants.
Well, that too.
But it makes sense because you can't wear pants with the propeller legs. So
yeah, that's the one thing about that show that most makes sense.
Yeah, the lack of pants. Yeah,
and the fact that there's like no men, despite the fact that there's a bunch of girls that needed to be born somehow.
No, there's men.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, they're just all in charge.
Yeah, they
don't do as much stuff. I was gonna say, they're not really heroic like the women who are all empowered and independent. Aside from being ordered around and dying and stuff, but
which is funny that you say that, because that is kind of an interesting point in the sense that men are pretty much portrayed as just being the dudes who swab crap off decks and stuff like that.
Well, they're silent. Well, because nobody wants to look at them, right? Which is a truism that doesn't, it's not necessarily an uncomfortable one. I think most dudes are used to not being wanted to be looked at. But, we want to look at the pretty girls. Everybody does. Nobody,
Unless you're A&N, of course.
Maybe Bara fans, they don't want to look at the pretty girls.
Or what was that guy? Oh, God, what was that guy that would always, whatever conversation happened, it would always end up being, he would find a way to beat about him. He was into.
That's quite a few people.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's way too many people to.
He really hated Yuri.
Oh, yeah, but that guy's a troll.
No,
like his behavior is very trollish. I know who you're talking about. You're talking about that Chagan dude.
That's it.
Yeah, he was very trollish.
Yeah.
I
don't put any weight towards
anything this person says. No. At that point, you're basically agreeing to listen to Scientologists.
So, anime creation, for those who don't know, because I feel like people still don't actually understand this, and there's a reason why. We'll probably talk about that reason later on in this show. When it's time to make the anime, a whole bunch of companies get together and say, okay, we're going to make an anime of this light novel or this manga or this visual novel, whatever. Right. So the company that publishes it, the company that's going to do all the music for the anime, the company that's the TV studio that's going to broadcast it.
They make a committee.
People who are doing merchandise. They're all whole bunch of these companies form a committee. They all invest into the creation of this show, all the marketing, everything, and then they give that studio a budget, and the studio makes the anime. Want to make it very clear. Studio work is work for hire. People don't understand this.
Except for KyoAni.
Well, except for a couple studios that sit on their own production committees. So the studio makes the anime, and then the anime gets put out, and the studio gets a cut of certain revenue streams that come from that anime.
Yeah. Also, the studio, with very rare exception, doesn't get to choose what gets made.
Yeah, they
very rare.
It's work for hire. So we're hiring you to make this anime, and all
even
the decisions have already been made for that anime.
Even KyoAni is kind of a work for hire.
Well, my assumption, my educated guess is that studios can say yes or no, but it's KyoAni has the power to say no a lot more than a studio like JC Staff does.
I was just going to bring up JC Staff, the studio that doesn't say no to nearly anything.
Yeah, so
and they'll have like 4 shows a season.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, they never met a Chinese slave labor drawing camp that they didn't like.
Well, consider this whole thing sort of a primer for what we're actually going to be talking about,
Right.
Which is sort of where it's at now, because quite frankly, we have people over here actually trying to interfere in the creative process now. Like they're trying to, I mean, I don't know how successful they'll be, but there's people out there trying to make them tone down certain elements of games and things like that.
Yeah.
It's already starting to happen. It's sort of soft pressure. It's not like, oh, we're going to strip you of all your money or whatever. It's more just kind of like, sort of like when you yell at your dog, you kind of thing, like your dog does something and you don't like it. It's like, okay, you get stern with them and whatnot. Unless you're a weirdo that actually just wails on their dog for some reason, which, yeah, you got serious problems at that point.
Well, it's like unless the people over here have some sort of massive degree of clout with the industry from a large perspective. So that's the whole production committee, and the only two companies I can think of that have that kind of clout are Crunchyroll and Netflix. And
make no mistake, they are gearing up for that.
Well, Crunchyroll already sits on production committees, and I'm pretty sure Netflix does as well.
Here's where
Netflix was able to buy Ava recently.
So here's where I don't worry too much about it. I don't think Crunchyroll represents any sort of meaningful threat. I think if Japanese companies saw value in the American anime market, like this was attempted in the early 2000s, where a couple of actual Japanese companies actually made their own English brands to try to push this stuff out. They didn't make as much money because the margins are really thin. The follow-up media doesn't sell nearly as well. Drama CDs, figures, none of that stuff sells.
Ancillary stuff just doesn't sell here as much.
That's where they make their money. That's why the budgets are so low on anime. I mean, you can get anime done, like, it's been a while, but the last time I heard a number come out, somebody was like, if you had like 150 grand, you could probably get a 12 episode series done. That was back in like 2009 or something.
Yeah, so, that's another thing people don't get is that it's not so much the budget, it's the accumulated talent of the studio, because I talk about how I really like, besides Kiwani, I really like Doga Kobo, because most of their shows, they all probably have the same budget, but some of their shows have they look pretty well animated, some of them. And that's usually because you can tell that they're really into the material that they're working on.
Yeah, so but at the same time, you've got, like, for example, take what Netflix is doing right now when they're announcing all these things, like reacquiring Ava and all that. They're piggybacking off that immediately and trying to do all these really presumably terrible live action movies. Which, let's be honest, every time, and the worst thing is people are defending it, going like, oh, it'll get people to watch the source. No, it won't. That's never been true.
Yeah. Well, even then, I always have the question, which isn't necessarily part of the production idea, but like I always have the question of like, is that a thing? Anybody, like, people are like, oh, it'll get people to watch the source. I'm like, I don't really give a shit if a bunch of random people who don't have any basic understanding, because that's the problem with a lot of this discussion, is that there's a drastic misunderstanding of the actual Japanese lens through which things are being seen. Like, everything's being viewed through an American lens of people who maybe feel like they understand something. But K-on's probably the easiest example to bring up of that sort of idiot lens that has nothing to do with how Japan perceives something versus America. Like, K-on is 100% like seen as a completely safe and sanitary kind of show. In Japan, it had a high female viewership compared to late night anime of its time. It did extremely well amongst female viewers, and the characters and whole franchise continues to do well amongst females in Japan. Whereas in America, it's seen as a creepy thing for pervert boys who want to look at high school girls or whatever. Because again, everything gets shifted through this fucking nerd hating, Western lens of like everybody's a pedophile creepo, and anybody that likes that stuff who doesn't, sort of hit the certain marks of how they look or think or act or whatever they do, that's how the West is going to view it. And then that colors the whole thing, right? It has nothing to do with how Japan views any of this stuff. It has to do with what Americans think about nerds, and nerds like anime. Therefore, that's what this must be.
Well, I feel like a lot of the reason that kind of perspective persists in anime particularly is because we've had the same 15 or so opinion leaders running this, and they all have that perspective. You don't like name me a single anime opinion leader who has has a similar level of clout and has a perspective that even begins to approach the Japanese perspective.
Right. I mean, let's be real here. I don't think I've ever run across a single one of them that doesn't have some sort of backhanded comments about something they like.
Now, here's the thing I'll put forward. That's a good thing for the show, because let's take gaming as an example. If Japan thinks that it can profit off of America in a meaningful way from the things that it produces, it will start tailoring those things to Americans. Look at Capcom is a perfect example. Square Enix has been guilty of that sort of stuff. Namco Bandai, and now Sony at large. They know they can make money in the Western world, so they will preemptively neuter that stuff and try to pander, because Japan never met a dollar it didn't want. So the fact that publicly the idea that moe is disgusting and that everybody who likes that stuff is a bunch of pedophile perverts actually helps hinder anime in the West, which is better, because then we don't get compromised product. We get good product made by creative Japanese people doing what they want to do, not what a company, because that's the thing with the production side. The company leans hard on creators. In Japan, you get locked into industry. When a creator makes a deal with a publisher, that publisher owns the manga or the light novel, full stop, in most cases, for everybody that's not a major name already. And even then, a lot of those guys have trouble escaping those contracts. So it's a good thing, because they will make the writ. If Kodansha or whoever decides that we need to also sell to America because there's big fucking money over there and we're missing a slice of that pie, we start getting compromised product. We start getting whatever authors, whatever creators are willing to make something that panders towards what Japan thinks America wants, and that will be what those loud creators think. Like the guys that are already up there that already have a media presence will be the ones that the studios listen to, and that's crazy dangerous, because they won't get unseated just because America starts to like anime more. In fact, they'll stay in place, and then they'll be the ones doing the same thing that games journalists do, convincing now the anime industry instead of just the games industry that this is what Americans want. They don't want titties. They don't want butts. America's scared of all that stuff. America likes violence, sure, but they hate whatever. So I think it's a good thing that everybody thinks we're all creeps, because it keeps them from trying to sell to us.
It's sort of, it has a sense of somewhat irony that, like you said, it puts up sort of a barrier.
Yeah.
Well, my thing is, I don't know if any more or less people would be buying moe anime and whatnot if the same problem people weren't at the positions of influence in the anime fandom over here.
Well, another thing I wanted to add to is, in a way, it's kind of the Western, both the industry and the Western anime news, like
the commentary space.
By Western anime news, you mean what they can translate and rip from like 2chan or whatever?
Yeah.
Or just like the people are the Western, the people that make the media, the people that write the articles and such here. In a way, they kind of built up anime as being more like, at least late night anime. late night anime is being more mainstream than what
It actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah, people forget that a lot of these shows are like on ATX or
they're late at night, and they made the majority are made to sell to a specific number.
Right. Like, for example, like High School of the Dead doesn't come on after you get out of high school, you know?
Yeah.
It's but then see they kind of what I actually think this is an interesting aspect is now of course there's you know the stuff like the shonen Jump stuff that's like super mainstream, but most of the stuff is made to be smaller scale for the people that will definitely be into this stuff. But then if it gets bigger than that audience, then that's becomes a benefit. Case in point, like how you were talking about K-On! Originally being mostly a male audience, but that girls were watching it too. Or even better, Girls in Panzer. Like how Girls in Panzer was really originally just meant to be a regular late night anime show, but because it got so popular so fast that they decided to sort of expand onto it.
Vastly exceeds targeted income.
Right.
Well, it's a good model.
About one of the major differences between the Japanese market and the Western market is Japan has been a consumer society for a much longer time, and so Japan has learned to see, because they didn't have any standing army after World War II, so they just straight up became consumers all the time. And we're doing that now in America because we don't really have any meaningful strife to worry about. You wouldn't believe that if you went on Twitter.
I was gonna say you mean the Syria thing isn't like a big deal.
Yeah, not going to affect us all that much. But your day to day is going to be fine. Starbucks will be open tomorrow. It's going to be okay. But I think one of the main takeaways there is that Japan has learned to understand that you can create 100 different niche industries and still sell. And that worked in Japan before it worked in America because Japan's a much smaller nation. So it's easier to get stuff around. Whereas in America, the internet allows that now. And we're starting to see niche product pop up. Right. And you're seeing very angry mainstream media reactions to that idea. And so everybody wants everything to be a conglomeration. They want Marvel Studios. They want Star Wars. And niche product is a thing that's being like from mainstream media companies, from major news outlets, it's being derided as this affront to society itself. But eventually, and I don't know if this will happen in America, I feel like it probably will eventually, but Japan is fine making niche product. Whereas if they see, America over here, I don't know how much it'll actually affect it if they try to start selling to us, because major companies might, but they still have massive niches that they need to make product for in Japan. So I worry about it, but also I don't.
Which is funny because when people complain about why do they keep making, lolicon shows, or why do they keep making, or why they keep doing, the stuff that they look at, it's like, who's this for? What and
not you,
motherfucker, just go.
Not you. It's for the people spending money on it.
Not you. Get the fuck out.
Oh, they complain like, another idol show, or another, it's like, well, listen, another light novel isekai.
These people. Here's the thing, though, and call me out on this if I'm wrong. It seems like these people have somewhere in their heart of hearts believe they have to intake everything anime that comes out.
It's hard on them, It's a hard life.
No,
they have to acknowledge. Hang on.
I'm sorry.
They have to acknowledge everything that comes out. Like you know what I mean? Like, this is a thing, and I have to acknowledge it. I can't just I'm not interested. No, I have to make some big grandstanding point about it.
Right.
Well, I think that's part of the problem. It's no longer critique or even personal opinion anymore. It is. I think a lot of the people that do commentary, who, especially journalists who do more commentary than they do journalism anymore, they come in and they think, I have to make a strong dictum about the nature of where society is going. I can't just watch media, you know?
Exactly.
Which it's like, you're a critic, you're a reviewer. Stop that shit.
Yeah. or you're a critic, you're a reviewer. That's fine. Just like weigh that person's opinion the same way you weigh anybody else's, right?
Well, that's a difference between, like, again, Japan and here is that I think that in Japan, now I could be wrong, but I don't think so. If there's something that you don't like, if there's something that even you're like really vehemently, you just don't talk about it.
Yeah, in large part, you just
talk about the stuff that you like. Whereas here, we have to talk about, this thing outrages me, and I have to let everyone know that this thing outrages me.
To some extent, there's been. I wouldn't say I wouldn't go so far as to call it an industry. There's a lot of people have very, very strong followings whose entire thing is, okay, I'm going to shit on this thing. Now I'm going to shit on that thing.
When the caustic critic trope or whatever, it is somewhat lucrative. Not quite as much anymore, but after like Angry Video Game Nerd and that sort of thing, nostalgia critic, I think people missed the point with those characters.
Well, people followed the success model and said, hey,
but they didn't realize why it works.
Yeah, hey, this guy's really angry about video games. This guy's really angry about movies. If I'm angry about that, then people will follow me, and they didn't realize that those people are playing characters.
They're hamming it up for amusement purposes. These other people really believe the shit they're doing. I believe James Rolfe actually said that he doesn't even hate most of the games he's bitching about.
He's just talented, which is the other element people are missing, that you have to be talented, and a lot of people are not.
You're talking crazy. That's crazy talk. It's YouTube. It's everybody's YouTube. Didn't you see YouTube Rewind this year? Everybody's YouTube, right? We all get a say.
Yeah, it's on the cover of Time Magazine Person of the Year.
We all got a cut of the YouTube.
The Person of the Year is you.
Hey,
it just holds up a mirror. They actually did that. Yeah. They actually did that one year.
Yeah, it was 2014 or so. It's been a while.
Where they had like the mirror up, and it's just like, it's like
might
really
have been farther back than that. Yeah, it was a while ago, but that was fucking embarrassing.
It really was. It's just like, wow, this sounds like a really obnoxious high school counselor. It's like, wow. Did Tony Robbins take over Times publication for a little while?
Yeah, man. You can do it. I believe in you. Except the ones who can't, not them. But we're not going to call them out specifically because that would be rude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can, and so can you. It just reminds me of those self-help booklets that come out of people like Joel Osteen or whatever, where you see with these big fucking bullshit businessman smiles on the cover.
White teeth, yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It looks like they've got some sort of film over them or something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
like a livestock fence installed in white.
Yeah. Or the best one are the economic ones where it's like some tough guy or wanting to be tough guy with shades on, crossing his arms like, I kicked life's ass, rah. And you can too, that sort of thing. And it's like, okay, what's wrong with just looking like a regular person if you want to be taken seriously?
But yeah, I can tell you that there is concern from the Japanese side about Japan becoming a factory for making animation for other countries. Because they've noticed that China is starting to get a whole lot of contracts. It's really interesting, actually. So I read the anime industry report for 2017, and between, I think this is the data for 2016 and 2015, the United States tumbled from first place in the number of contracts on a country-by-country basis to fourth place between China, South Korea, and Taiwan. So you're seeing a lot of other nations contracting Japan to make animation, and the industry is starting to get concerned about that because they don't want to be the factory for animation for other nations. Yeah,
they don't. Basically, what happened in the 80s, where America farmed out a lot of their animation out there, that sort of thing, but from multiple countries.
Right, and another concern is Okay, so what if so even if that paradigm plays out, what if China suddenly decides, you know what, we want to produce all this stuff in-house now, and a significant chunk of the revenue that the Japanese anime industry was getting from that vanishes overnight.
Yeah,
so
which I guarantee
they have
China
long-term concerns for
is
that.
planning to do.
Oh, of course.
Like they in-house everything. That's basically their modus operandi is buy the stuff, work as closely with the people you're getting stuff from as possible so you can learn what they're doing.
Yep.
And then in-house all that stuff. They're doing it right now. There's actually several lawsuits right now over Chinese and Taiwanese companies, which are Chinese owned, that under semiconductor designs, where basically they were working with Micron and a couple other companies, and they basically saw these silicon designs and started stealing them and trying to replicate them in China, like privately for, you know, local production and things like that, because China has this intentionally obtuse copyright system where the only way that you can claim things is if you've like licensed the same copyrights, the same trademarks, all the same patents in China. Like they don't respect international anything.
No.
And if somebody, yeah, I know it's shocking. And if somebody gets there first with that stuff, they can do business under those names, right? They can sell those patents as long as they get it in. And a lot of people don't get it in because the paperwork is intentionally obtuse and complicated. So
it's legally kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that you said that, as an aside, one thing I am noticing is a lot of Chinese companies and power and money and stuff is really trying to buy a lot of our tech industry kind of stuff. I mean, you know, I have no doubt that they're putting financial like pressure on places like Google and whatnot. Like, oh, hey, you know, why not censor search engine?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the problem is that a lot of Chinese-owned companies, whether the guys in charge of them feel that way or not, especially currently with Xi Jinping or whatever his name is, I can't remember the guy's the
guy who made himself emperor for life.
Yeah, the current leader,
Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, your boy Winnie. He has a very strong moralist bent. Like he came to power amid corruption because he was very anti-corruption and very troubled over the degradation of public morals, which is why he's been cracking down on porn in China. And that guy is, you know, has a direct line to every billionaire businessman in the country. So even if those businessmen don't give a shit, and I can pretty much guarantee you they do not give a shit because they've seen capitalism work and they're billionaires now, so they don't fucking care, you know, anymore. So he has a direct line in there, and China does have a strong enough central power that if they say that company's gone, that company's gone. All their infrastructure is in China. All the, you know, working relationships they have meaningfully are built around Chinese groups. So, you know, if Huawei or Tencent or anybody runs afoul of Winnie the Pooh, they're gone. So they have to play that game, you know, regardless of whether they want to or not.
Well, right. It's kind of like how Hollywood is basically curtailing a lot of their films and stuff so they can basically show them
sell
there.
it to China, yeah.
Yeah, because let's think about that for a minute. It's like, hey, you've got 1 billion plus people audience, which potential audience, and that's bigger than our entire population. So
yeah, here's the best part about that, right? And this is what I loved seeing in YouTube Rewind. It was my favorite part of YouTube Rewind was when that chick says, great strides were made for Asian representation in media this year. I'm like, yeah, bitch, because fucking China has 1 billion people ready to buy stuff. Nobody fucking cares about putting Asian people in media. Not really. There's just a Chinese market to sell to. Like that's always that informs everything. Now, Japan as a country is angry and isolationist enough that they probably don't give a fuck about selling to China because they care about their island being nice forever. America, we are all hateful, spiteful capitalists, and we will sell to any fucking buddy for any reason until we get caught publicly, and then we'll say, actually, we didn't know this guy was a Nazi. Whoops. And then we'll
Iran-Contra.
Right up until that, we will fucking sell to anybody. So of course, like again, the strides in Asian representation in media Had nothing to do with that. It had a vaguely to do with K-pop getting slightly popular amongst ugly people. And on the second side, it was because China has a billion fucking people ready to throw you on at everybody.
Like I just got this funny vision. Speaking of K-pop, I know this is sort of tangential, but I love the fact that South Korea was blasting that shit over into North Korea with big old fucking like megaphones and stuff over the DMZ,
which is awesome.
Like, can't you just
Have
see
you seen
like
the video of what's his name? I forget which band it was. A K-pop girl band went to North Korea and did a dance, and the people in the audience just looked disgusted. It's the best video in the world.
You're gonna have to after the show is over. You're gonna have to link me to that, because that just sounds very entertaining and sort of speaking of Korea, and again, I just saw a commercial today when I was walking around just getting something to drink or whatever. It was on in the background where they were talking about how the DMZ is this really nice place now. They made it sound like a fucking travel ad that beaches or sandals or whatever would do. It's like, and I just looked at it and I go, yeah, honey, let's go take a trip to the DMZ. We'll hang out there. I
linked the K-pop video on IRC for anybody that wants to.
Okay, cool.
It is. Oh boy, it hurts. It hurts to watch. Really
just
I'll watch that right after the
yeah.
Staring out in the ocean. It's like, oh, we got an ocean view. Everything, the weather's nice. You can see people trying to escape and get shot. It's wonderful. Okay, let's get back.
Let's move on.
So, yeah,
back to whatever the hell we were talking about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, before we got confused about ugly people listening to K-pop, as you said.
Well, okay, so they're also, and this is coming from an article I read a while ago, they're also concerned about Netflix, because Netflix is commissioning a lot of stuff, and they have the same concerns. They're like, okay, what if Netflix decides, okay, we want to commission some American companies? And a significant amount of the industry's revenue is gone overnight. So they are very concerned about not becoming the factory for animation for other companies. So, though that does play in to...
You mean you don't want everything to be Neo Yokio?
Hey,
giant Toblerone.
There's no subtext there or anything.
Bam!
Giant Toblerone. Remind me that exists.
Look it up. I think there's also one thing that's worth mentioning when Netflix comes into the discussion, and a good reason for Japan to be concerned is that Netflix is trying to sell to a worldwide audience. I mean, just look at the cast for The Witcher. But you've got that going on at the same time as Netflix is using the same sort of production standards and the same sort of payments, like the same sort of underpay, the same working conditions as the traditional Japanese companies. And I don't know if they're doing that to try to make happy inroads or what. But I forget who it was. It was the director on, it was either Violet Evergarden or one of the other shows they did who did like a Twitter rant where he was like, look, Netflix is not saving us from anything. They're using the same companies. They're paying the same wages. Netflix is not a great Western savior for the anime industry. And this was obviously aimed at people who were thinking, oh, well, Netflix will come in because, Americans are all rich and American production companies all have a ton of money. So, they're going to come in and pay these animators what they deserve. There was a lot of that kind of bubbling around on Japanese Twitter and on 2chan and stuff like that. And this guy kind of comes out and goes, no, that is not how it's going. So they are not saving anybody. They're not any better than the companies we're already working for. The hours are still ridiculous. The budgets are still not enough, And
if I'm not mistaken, isn't Netflix actually in debt?
Probably.
Okay. Well, no, I need to go on a rant because it's upsetting to me.
All right, then I gotta say something too, but you first.
No company is gonna save the anime industry. People.
No, exactly.
Jeez, like, oh.
It's not a Superman character.
Well, not even that. It's like, oh no, Crunchyroll's out here supporting the anime industry. Oh, and okay, if you think that the anime industry is just the animators, then number one, realistically, here's number one, you were probably lied to by Crunchyroll about the nature of the anime industry. But number two, understand it all goes back to the production committees, and You can feel any way about that you want, but that's how the industry operates.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not ideal, but it's been sustainable for the past couple decades, for the past like 2.5 decades, 25 years. So it's probably not going to change substantially anytime soon. And what a lot of people really need to start doing is stop trying to bypass the production committee. You can't do it, and you probably shouldn't do it either, because that's where all the work originates from.
Well, it's also I don't think people
money.
understand.
People are gonna the animators that you so want to save from their conditions, which I understand are terrible. All those people are going to be out of work. So instead of making $20,000 a year, they're going to be making $0 a year, because a whole bunch of people decided, hey, let's fight the man and take all this money from the production committees and try and give it to other people, when they don't realize maybe it would be advantageous for us to not take money away from the people who give all these people work.
Yeah. Well, part of the problem too is there's a massive lack of understanding of the rigid hierarchy of the Japanese entertainment industry.
Oh yeah,
there's a massive lack of understanding of all aspects of the
every aspect. Yeah,
around 100%. Here. And a lot of that's because nobody who's in a position to tell people how this stuff works is advantaged by telling them how it works.
No, yeah.
If Crunchyroll went out and told people, all the vast majority of the money that we send over there makes it to the production committees, all the people that they misled into believing that the anime industry, quote unquote, is the studios and the animators, are going to be mad at them. So they have no incentive to do that. Nobody has any incentive to tell people how this stuff really works, because all people want to do is give money to the animators, which is noble, but you have to understand how the stuff works and where money has to flow in order to make the machine work.
All right. No, but see, my thing about the Netflix thing is, I feel like but then this is just me being hyper wish fulfillment. And even though I haven't watched it, but the positive response to Devilman Crybaby leads me to believe that if that they could take that and use that as an example of what I would love to see as a revival of it's kind of redundant to say OVA, because it's not technically, it's on VO, it's on Netflix, but that type of content that people used to associate with OVAs, the hyper violent, hyper sexual, that also became popular with anime fans in the West in the 90s. But so far, nobody's taking that approach.
I'm cool with that paradigm resurfacing, but not if it's in service to Western anime fans.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If the industry moves in that direction, I'm on board.
But you can't force
Netflix
it.
Commissioning it, then
you're going to end up with nothing but red lines.
Yeah. Which is going to do great among a certain set of people.
But those people can't keep the industry afloat.
I don't
know. It wouldn't
be pompous, fickle art. Never mind. I don't think I can say the other word I was going to say at the end of art. That's fine.
But here's the thing. It's every classic you love, every single one, was a result of the Japanese industry being left to their own devices.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. Unless you somehow think that some of these Madhouse Marvel things are modern classics, which is cool in the gang, but every single classic.
No, man, the TMNT anime. Come on.
Well, it's like, okay, there's maybe a couple that I could
Demashed up Powerpuff Girls Z.
No.
If you believe the Big O2 is a classic, that's cool. But my point is, you can count them on one hand. The number of modern classics that have been significantly touched by Western interests. So every classic you love was a product of the Japanese industry being left to their own devices. Yeah. And And that's not saying Cowboy Bebop, product of the Japanese industry being left to their own devices. And that's not saying that it's going to be. It's not saying that the Devilman Crybaby paradigm is going to be bad. We're probably going to see some very good shows out of this Netflix thing, but that doesn't mean that this should be the new big thing, because this is going to create a whole bunch of anime that it's not going to create a whole bunch of classics, is my point. It's not going to create a whole bunch of anime that's going to be well remembered for decades to come, because all that's just a product of the Japanese industry by itself.
Remember how many people loved Hero Man?
Look, Stan Lee is a national treasure, but come on.
Listen,
I mean, hey, I got nothing against the man.
It's not to shit on any of these shows, but
come on,
you got. But my point is, people are looking to this new co-production sort of idea as, okay, this is gonna create a whole bunch of anime that I want to watch.
Yeah.
Basically the idea they had when crowdfunding started taking off, and they thought, hey, if we pour all of our capital into creating the shows we want, we'll get more of what we want.
Well, here's the thing. I like that paradigm too.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, it's not necessarily even wrong.
Yeah, but it's not like you can. It's been proven that you can produce one-shot OVAs off of that paradigm. Sure.
Oh, absolutely. It's like when people get funds so they can produce an album or something.
But it's like it's a whole bunch of people trying to circumvent the market, and that's my problem.
And it's not, but I know what you're trying to say. It's not enough for the whole industry to adopt.
Well, it's not even that it's not enough for the whole. I don't have a problem with it. What I have a problem with is people trying to weasel their way around the market to try and get more of what they want. When realistically, if you want more anime like Redline, like whatever the hell, you could start by supporting it when it comes out.
Yeah.
It's just funny because the hype for that movie within a particular subset of people, which types was
special ed.
And then once it came out,
dropped like a red balloon.
Yeah.
Like a lead balloon.
Yeah, because it's fucking overdone, obnoxious. God. Okay.
Well, no, I don't.
Well, here's the thing.
Don't get me wrong.
Let's say it politely. It's niche. But these people want niche to be mainstream. Whereas most of us are cool to be like, hey, I like some weird shit. It's niche. I don't get a lot of it. When I get a little bit of it, I love it and I support it. But I don't expect suddenly, right, for, every show to be whatever my favorite show is.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's these people, they want a certain kind of anime, which is fine. But it comes out, they don't support it. Meanwhile, all the cute anime girl shit, all the cute moe idol and all that stuff, all those people are out here buying figures.
3,000 mail-in votes on fucking stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, or at least a significant portion of them are out here buying the buying the Blu-rays, buying the figures, buying the wall scrolls, buying the shower curtain,
the Ona holes, and
none of those are official. Come on.
Yeah, of course.
Buying the CDs for the shows.
Buying all this stuff, and you can't expect that kind of support off of the same people who like shows who are really big up on shows like Redline.
You know what? Wait, should I get the thing?
And that's the reason why you don't see a whole lot of that kind of anime.
Should I get the thing that A&N just put out, the most successful franchises of 2018 list?
Actually save that toward the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bring it up, save it for the end.
All right.
Because we're going to segue here in a second to marketing.
Yes.
All right.
And that would probably actually be something we could bring up then.
Yeah.
Would fit better anyway.
Because holy shit, like what you're like, I expected such and such to be on top on the like in that top 5. or just in the list in general, is like, and then it'll yeah, okay.
Never underestimate how they can sell shows to dick. I mean, just don't. People are like, why is this show so popular? If you have to ask, yeah. Anyway,
I don't know. I feel like people have. I feel like the Moe people and the anti-Moe people just have fundamentally different mindsets. Because if you look at the show, and if you look at a cute anime girl show, and you have to ask, "Oh, who's this supposed to appeal to?"
Or why is this so popular?
Why is this so popular?
Are you paying attention to this thing at all?
Are you even paying attention?
Yes. I mean, the marketing here, the way things are marketed here and there is not the same.
No.
And that, I think, is part of why you get this schism. Because in Japan, nobody has any real scruples or anything about what they're buying or anything like that. They know what it is. They know how it's made, or roughly.
They're also really good at, they understand the power of people really getting into a character, which is why, and making characters that people could find really charming, which is why the number one most charming character for 2018, platelets.
Yes.
And then a bunch of Fujoshi stuff after that.
Time Magazine Person of the Year is the platelets.
Well,
they have it. Yeah, they have it here.
No, it was a joke, man.
Well, I'm actually going to take the opposite tack that you're taking, K-Gods, and say the reason the marketing is so different over here is because we have that schism.
Okay. Well, that's a chicken and egg, I guess, scenario, isn't it?
Well, it's that, and like I said, if they don't like something, they're just not going to say it.
Right. Japan has, and again, that's a cultural thing, whereas here we're kind of encouraged to lambast shit. Whereas over there, if you don't like something, that "don't rock the boat" thing kicks in, and it's just like, whatever.
Yeah, it's sort of like, I don't even know if it's
Sleeping Dogs Lie or something.
I don't even know if it's a let people enjoy what they want to enjoy type of mentality. I think it's more of a
don't rock the boat.
Well, yeah, don't rock the boat.
There's no reason to cause any kind of quarrel that's unnecessary just because you don't like something.
Right.
The it can't be helped mentality, maybe also.
Yeah, c'est la vie, or
right.
Which is basically that equivalency.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple like underlying cultural things in Japan. I think the biggest one is you've probably seen the word you're troubling somebody a lot in various types of that's the basic idea. So
I don't want to trouble. I don't want to cause.
Yeah, there's two things. So if somebody's not causing trouble to anybody, the basic idea is to just leave them alone. That's why in Japan, most of the time, you'll see it a lot in media, the sort of trope that somebody's doing or saying something weird, and the mom just says, "Don't look at him," right? He's not really troubling anybody, so just
whatever,
leave him alone.
Well, a perfect example, since we mentioned Evangelion earlier in Netflix, is when Shinji actually goes to live with Misato, and like she tries to get him to come in, and he just is like, I don't want to trouble you.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like that's a very, very Japanese idea. Whereas
so there's that basic idea, and then I forgot the other one because we got off on a tangent.
Anubis, by the way, number 3 is the bunny girl senpai.
Yeah.
My what's her name?
Sakurajima.
Yep, that's number 3.
Known champion, Mai Sakurajima.
That is it's such a great relationship.
Yeah,
and one of the things I love about the relationship in that show is that they don't fuck it up like they did in Grenadier, which is a really old show for me to be bringing up. But Grenadier was it was going so great, and then that little fucking bitch shows up and starts being a fucking little piece of trash the whole time. Every time he's about to touch some titty, she's like,
yeah, it's just when I'm not reloading my firearms with my tits,
my boobs, yeah.
Reminds me of a freaking Kanakon, so I never finished that show.
I was thinking that.
Oh yeah, because of the bitch.
I was also thinking of.
You're not really a bitch per se.
I am not a. I found this out. I'm not a particularly huge fan of shows where there's an established relationship at the beginning and the whole show is about it's like a Monster of the Week show where
Yeah.
every week
Something tries to
else
screw with it.
trying to sabotage.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. It's like, what's the problem with the two characters being together? Type
Yeah,
of.
exactly. Listen,
Well, there needs to be some sort of conflict for the show to exist, I guess.
Oh, true.
Not really. If Kanakon was 12 episodes of Fox Girl preying on Homeboy, I would be 100% on board.
Or her
could get in
mom
there
preying
too,
on
though.
him
I mean,
too.
It could be like a whole three's a crowd kind of, but that's okay kind of situation, you know?
Yeah, I mean, hey, we've all seen Soro no Iro, Mizu no Iro.
Yeah, they can make that work, but
Right.
the way they did Kanakon just made me angry.
Yeah, we all know Anubis has a special place in hell for the Kanakon development.
All right. So, anything else about marketing?
Oh yeah, there's plenty to talk about in
Yeah.
marketing.
Because I got top media franchises.
There's a couple marketing campaign, really interesting marketing campaigns over here in the West. That one of them crashed and burned, and the other one I actually have no idea where it is. So there was this whole thing with the Flying Colors Foundation, and there was the whole thing with Otaku Coin.
Yeah, which was basically the hey, I'm the head of A&N, I'm real political, and have gathered and have accrued people that are similarly angry.
I'm gonna get to that. So, long story short, the Flying Colors Foundation was this. It was a company that was supposed to gather data on Western anime fans to send over to the Japanese anime industry, and like the whole thing just turned out to be people were raising questions about it and the whole thing, and the whole thing just disappeared. I found out they were paying anime YouTubers to talk about it, and the whole thing got it was a really weird thing that kind of happened in the background and just kind of vanished. But the real one,
Ancient aliens, man.
The real one that I have words for is Otaku Coin. There's a cryptocurrency started by Tokyo Otaku Mode,
which in and of itself probably should have raised some eyebrows.
Real money. It's real money, guys.
Of course. So the idea is whenever you do something that interacts with the anime community, so whenever you watch anime on certain services, or whenever you discuss anime on certain places, you'll earn this Otaku Coin. And the premise is you can use that on when buying stuff on websites,
as opposed to a heroin habit,
to support the anime industry. And we already have that. We already have something that does that. It's called money.
Yeah, I mean, it's called cash.
I'm skeptical of this money situation. I don't know about that. Otaku Coin sounds like the way to go.
So, and it was again, they were in with anime YouTubers and whatnot, but what really came to light was the distribution. So it's something like 100 billion Otaku Coin, and 71% of them is going to be distributed among people just to go out and spend in circulation, and 39% is going to be distributed amongst the people running Otaku Coin. Now, what's weird about that is for a lot of these cryptocurrency ICOs and whatnot, companies will keep some of the crypto for themselves with the hope that it will build in value, but not 39%. So that's where people started raising eyebrows.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's like, wait a minute, 39%. That's kind of like how when recently during the presidential election, how Bernie Sanders said that like 90 to 95% of a income tax is not too high.
I think the problem with that, and this is sort of the standard warning in the crypto industry or community, if you want to call it that, which feels gross, because it's a bunch of speculators and
Right.
people. But the sort of common warning is if the coin is pre-farmed, it is a scam. The coin should be released. Obviously, early adopters will get more coin because it's easier to compute hashes
Right.
in the early days. But anything that's meaningfully pre-farmed is a scam because, even with blockchain, whatever, they still hold the bulk of the coin, which should and almost invariably does devalue the coin instantaneously, because essentially you're saying that 20-30% of the coin is non-viable. It's stored in a vault that someone has the key to. That just means only 70% of it is circulating value, which is going to depress the value of it. And they're just hoping it goes from 0 pennies per otaku coin to $1, and then they make for free a bunch of money on their pre-farmed coin.
Right.
So it's the same way. So they just say don't ever do that, because one, it means it's going to be a lot harder for the coin to catch on. There's going to be some portion of coin just unaccounted for that will accrue value, but also depresses the value because the hashes come out of the gate hard to compute, which means there's going to be less interest from early adopters to farm the coin. Like, again, there's a million problems with pre-farmed coins. And so, obviously the idea here was, let's fucking crypto's popping. Let's get a bunch of fucking otakus who don't know shit about it and see if we can't con them into.
See if we can't fleece them.
Yeah, make some money off this thing.
Yeah, that's been my perspective on it from the very beginning. Another big concern is that the other 71%, they're saying it's going to be when people use it to fund whatever, it's going to be used to fund otaku culture projects.
Oh, gross.
which just sounds
I just
like
threw up a little bit.
Well, that's the thing. Wording it that way, there's nothing that stops Tokyo Otaku Mode from using it to fund their own projects.
They're a project. It says otaku right there in the title.
Okay. It doesn't matter that it's paying for my sports car. It's otaku sports car.
Hey.
Well, here's a funny, like a very similar story that just came out recently. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Brave browser. It's by the guy who originally made Opera.
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, so basically the idea was, if you use the Brave browser to watch your favorite content, we'll donate real cryptocurrency to, whoever the guy is. So recently, Tom Scott, a major YouTuber who does great stuff about science and stuff like this, great science education channel. And he found out that they were taking Bitcoin donations in his name without ever contacting him, with an official profile that used pictures of him and looked very like he was on board.
Wow.
So he contacted them. Yeah, he contacted them and said, what's going on here? And then eventually publicly posted on Twitter to say, I am in no way involved in this. If you've given crypto through the Brave browser, I don't get any of it. I do not accept donations in any form from anyone. And Brave, he contacted Brave after he found out about this, and they basically said, well, we're not going to give it to you. And if you don't want it, if you don't want it, we're not sending it back either. So,
take the money and run.
I guess he could sign up and say, give it to me, but I'm sure they'd take, some portion of it for themselves or whatever.
Naturally.
But yeah, again, same kind of deal, right? It's, hey, we're doing good or whatever. We're an opaque, faceless thing who's going to take, the completely unregulated nature of cryptocurrency and use it definitely not for our own ends.
Yeah.
Crazy. Who wants a bunch of free money? Not us. We're good Samaritans who love the otakus. Is that how you say it? The otakus. Welcome. We love you.
just keep that flow coming this way.
Yeah.
So let's talk about shit that actually makes money.
Well, hold on. I'm not done talking about shit that doesn't make money.
He's not done.
Right. Because this actually dovetails right into what was mentioned earlier with Anime News Network They're hurting for money, right? They've been hurting for money
Thank
in
fuck.
2018.
Yeah, they're hemorrhaging like a bleeding fucking farm animal.
I hope their houses burned down too.
So
well, in some cases, there actually aren't their houses.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's hilarious.
I'm not going to name names, but
so ANN's been hemorrhaging money. Well, okay, I don't know if they've been hemorrhaging money, but they're hurting for money, and they've had the thing on and off on the top, basically begging for people to subscribe to their service.
They're doing the
What
Wikipedia
service?
They're doing
$3.
They're doing
yeah,
the
wait, what
Wikipedia.
service?
Hey,
The service that they can insult half the stuff I watch.
No. What stuff? What is it?
yeah, they're trying to get more subscriptions and
Yeah, but who? I missed who you said.
ANN.
Anime News Network.
Oh, Anime News Network. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they're hurting for money, and
Anime Neckbeard Network.
and
They look good with it.
I'm not saying this is the
Anime
reason.
No Nut.
And I'm not saying this is the reason they're hurting for money, but what I am saying is they could have gotten in on the Otaku Coin thing, but so the story goes that the announcement was made that two people were joining the Otaku Coin advisory board. The first was Palmer Luckey, which a person who people say is a Nazi, so I don't believe he's a Nazi.
Yeah, exactly. And wasn't he again? I might be mixing up my words here. Isn't he related to the Oculus Rift?
Yeah,
he created it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I couldn't remember if he was like the one who created it, was involved somehow. The name was.
He did the early work on it, and he co-founded the company with Brandon Iribe or Iribe or Arribe. I don't know the fuck you say his last name. Who just left?
Some guy named Brandon.
Yeah, and he dressed up as Quiet in Japan and went walking around with his girlfriend, who's kind of popular for being a Quiet cosplayer and a cosplayer in general. And it was some great pictures. I recommend you look him up. It's really hairy, which is made me feel, safe and secure. It was a safe space moment for me. I very much enjoyed it. Anyway, back to
the second person was Chris McDonald.
Back to the ripoff.
Yeah. Second person was Chris McDonald, who's the CEO of Anime News Network. Now, the reason it's important that I mentioned that Palmer Luckey is a person who people call a Nazi is because Chris McDonald got harangued on social media after that announcement was made, because he's cultivated an audience that is very aware about his personal politics, which is a choice he made. Not a good choice, but it's a choice he made. And as a result, he felt the need to step down from that committee and put out a very bleeding heart apology. Oh, okay, if you follow me for a while, you know my politics, and I didn't know he was on the board and was stepping down from the board.
Nobody mentioned it.
So what I'm saying is, ANN's hurting for money, and they're also actively resisting actions that could possibly get them more revenue,
which is okay with me.
And I'm saying,
I think it's get broke, get woke, get rich, right? That's the saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean that's the model. Roll hard left and die. Or I mean win.
Well, the whole thing is, okay, so at this juncture, ANN really do they really have a way to go? Because what are they going to do?
But yeah, because they can't walk that back.
They can't walk. They've
built their entire empire on this. We're progressives.
That's been their thing for so long that they can't walk that back. If they walk that back, they're going to lose the audience they currently have, and they're not going to gain another audience because the rest of all the audience
they either left or they don't care.
Yeah, that they pissed off due to being either due to being highly political or due to just being bad at what they do. They've gone on to other services, so they're not going to gain any goodwill by going back on what they're doing. And the only thing they can do is go harder, which is going to alienate more people.
Well,
it's really a death spiral.
Yeah, I think A&N I think they're a company and a website that have, as far as I can tell from the outside, as a person who stopped reading them in like 2007 or something.
Good idea.
I mean, that's why I made Ikema Show back in the day. I was like, well, fuck A&N. I hate them. They don't actually cover Japanese news. Everything they do is like filtered through bullshit.
Opinion pieces and crap.
Yeah. And it was just a bunch of stuff. And, but I think part of their problem is that they literally never adapted. The site looks the fucking same.
It really does.
They've never come up with a new model to monetize. Their encyclopedia is so drastically, it's not out of date content wise, but navigability, usability, social stuff is way out of date.
There's a lot of missing entries.
Well, yeah. I mean, especially if you compare it to MAL or even Anime Planet. Shouts to Sothis, who's a solid.
There's a whole bunch of hentai that just old and new. That's just completely.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's not their gig though.
They're not going
they
to
don't care about
hentai
that.
on the encyclopedia, even though they should.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like, what do they offer then? Blog posts? Like, holy shit, man! Nobody I can get my news from 90 other places. Some of which are just as annoying in their own way, like Sankaku Complex, who, they cover the news, but often with their own annoying commentary. Yeah. So who cares? But
sometimes they're funny.
Yeah, sometimes they're funny. Sometimes A&N just does a straight news piece. But like I said, there's a million other options, and their site's old, their site's ugly. They don't offer anything unique or interesting.
They got hacked recently, which was hilarious.
Yeah, they got hacked.
Yeah.
They're still doing like full integrations, which is one of like the oldest things. Like, I don't know anybody that's still doing like full page integration ads. Like, I don't even think IGN does them that often anymore.
Oh wow.
IGN never met a buck they didn't like. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Right.
Like, why the fuck am I looking at, like, if I accidentally click anywhere outside of the main body of the website?
Oh, you're going to another website or something.
Yeah, I'm going to fucking Namkai Bando's fucking Bitcoin miner or whatever, so they can put out another iOS Sword Art Online game that I don't give a shit about. So it's like, I'm saying, like, why would you go there? It has not kept up with the style, the content, the usability, the social features, or anything that anyone expects out of a modern website in any way.
Is it even designed for like mobile phones anymore? I mean, like, does it look even more like ass?
I'm about 90% certain they haven't changed that design for mobile phones. I'll check now.
No, it just shrinks up the main one. It just shrinks up.
So it does it. Yeah. Holy crap.
Yeah, it hides the sidebar. That's all it does.
Oh wow.
It really just hides the sidebar.
I mean, the thing is if you have a big presence like that, and let's be real, they do have a reasonably big presence, at least as far as the
comparably.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying it's there.
Well, they have a reasonably big presence because they've been around forever.
Right, they're a legacy unit.
Like they're constantly criticized for being late on the news or wrong. They're constantly criticized for their editorial staff. They're also constantly praised for their editorial staff, which I feel like is the only reason they have any relevance for anyone, is because people.
How many times have
editorial staff have to say?
How many times have we called out Justin Suvegas as man?
I can.
I would go more into that, but I think it would get us in trouble.
I can seldom trust them to be right because they've been provably wrong multiple times and haven't walked it back. And
no, anytime they have, it's because they have to.
The outdated notion that Japan hates otaku, and that it's like he had to do a retraction.
He had to do a retraction, which says to me, okay, what else was he wrong about that he didn't have to do a retraction on? Because he was so sure about his perspective on that particular subject, even though he was wrong. So he felt like he didn't need to do the research, which would have told him he was wrong and he had to change his perspective. But one published that article had to walk it back because everyone told him, hey, you're actually really wrong about that. And I'm disappointed.
Well, that reminds me of something that happened actually in the forums years back. You'll remember this, I have a feeling. There was an interview with Aki Shimbo.
Oh, yes.
And there was this really stupid fucking poster, and you can quote me on that, that said, I've never heard anybody sound so misanthropic. It's like, do you know what that word even means?
Well, to be fair, that's just their forums, which is an entire different problem.
Which is another whole bag of retard.
Matter of fact, they're taking so they had this whole thing with their forum rules because
that was great. Yeah,
turns out Chris McDonald will tolerate the presence of white supremacists on his forum as long as they don't espouse any white supremacists.
They're vocal about it.
Yeah, as long as they're not vocal about
if they're not vocal about it, how the fuck do you even know?
Yeah,
you can feel it.
Oh,
yeah.
You can sense it.
You get a good look at him.
Yeah, because every white supremacist on an anime forum, which even saying that sentence is
if you liked Darling in the Franxx.
Or if your name is Hales Dion 1488.
Yeah. What is it?
But yeah,
Darling in the Franxx was specifically made as alt-right. That one.
Yeah,
propaganda. That was a fucking joke.
But the thing is, they took flack from Anti-Fem for that because not only are they losing all the reasonable people, they're also losing quite a few of the unreasonable people. So their audience is shrinking dramatically, and I don't know how they're going to sustain themselves.
Okay, can I read?
No, we're not at the end yet.
Still, all right.
Yes, of course. We have a lot to go,
man.
Yeah,
you know, we're all having a good time here. I assume most of us aren't wearing pants anymore. We've really relaxed it.
No, I'm just in shorts, but close.
Technically, I'm wearing 2 pairs of pants.
You know what? It's just in case.
Yeah, see, he's worried now that you're he's on to us. He heard about us not wearing pants and figured he's got to double up.
I'm wearing pants for you on that.
That's good. I'm not wearing it. I'm just
you're strike witches now.
I've got a button-up shirt and nothing else. That's
There we go.
Yeah.
So
please tell me please don't tell me this is a bowling shirt.
No. It's high. I bought my highest class short sleeve button-up.
Strike witches with traps. Go. Yeah. Someone fund that. There you go.
All right, let's talk distribution.
Fund me.
Yeah. As opposed to assless chaps.
Assless chaps versus distribution. Got it.
Yes.
So I feel like those got cross-pollinated a little.
Just a little. That's funny.
Yeah. By the way, the word trap you're not allowed to say on AIM.
Oh no. Like if you're on their, I don't know if you know about this, Wombat, but if you go to their forums, assuming you remember, of course, if you try to type certain terms they have, it will basically.
It'll just stop the post.
No, it doesn't stop the post. That would be even funnier. But what it actually does is it translates it into a what do you call that? What the fuck is that? When it does that, it's a word.
Word filter.
Filter. Yeah, there you go. Where like if you type in SJW, for example, it will translate that as person with whom I disagree with politically.
At least it's subtle, right? They're just taking old school mute and snack stuff.
Yeah, I mean
snack stuff.
But there's one for trap too, isn't there?
There's one for trap. I don't know what it is.
I don't either, but I know there is one because that was a big deal. They got really up in people's face about that.
Like a subgroup that decided that word is bad, whereas there's like a number of trans people I know I'm friends with who like revere the word like as an ideal to reach towards. You know what I mean?
I have an entire rant about
as opposed to being perpetually angry fuckheads.
Exactly.
So,
no, I have an entire rant about that subject that I'm not going to get into this episode.
That has nothing to do with distribution.
Yeah.
Except for maybe parts.
Yeah. So here, big news in the distribution side in 2018. Netflix gets Ava.
Yep.
And the Funimation CEO is mad about it.
Yeah, that was actually kind of comical.
Oh, we got scooped by $1 billion company. Dang.
It's like, but they're not gonna do it justice like us and our bad
lollipops and fucking.
Okay, Gen Fukunaga. They're not gonna do it justice.
Hey,
like you did justice to fucking
this from the
school
company that does these fucking prison school bullshit. Or
all I remember is Weisha Kodla put on the clothes so that she could get rid of the patriarchal stares. Was that Funi?
Yes, that was
Yes.
that was part of it.
Yeah. As opposed to having ginormous tits you're showing off, you know.
Yeah.
So
Which again, I get so pissed off anytime I think about that because Cool Kyoshinja. Have you read Chi 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 Chi? Holy fuck!
I've seen.
Like, dude is not that guy, even a little bit. Those big titties aren't casually there. Those big titties are there because he is a Bakunyu fetishist to the core of his soul.
I liked his other manga that he did that I so wish had an anime.
Paranoia Cage?
No, the one about the chubby.
Oh, Jojo?
The one about the chubby glasses wearing girl. I have the title right here. Oh no, I don't have it here, but
I have it. No, I don't.
No, you don't understand.
Just like Otaku's
it's on my external hard drive, all my other shit.
Where nobody can find it. Hard encrypted. The anti-government drive.
Except for the United Nations, you know, they can find anything that's on your E drive.
All right,
you know, they use it as evidence.
Keep going, and I'll find it.
But yeah, so the Funimation president is salty because
like one of the biggest like money cash cows you could possibly have is not theirs anymore.
And they have the license to rebuild. So it would make sense if one company that wasn't Netflix got Ava, it would make sense for Funimation to get it, but they didn't. Probably because they don't have the money to do so. But
I imagine the negotiations for that were not cheap.
Oh, of course not.
Because they knew they had something big there. So
yeah. It's a Western Hallmark show. It's like Cowboy Bebop. It's one of those that caught, you know, in a massive way.
Fever. But the funny thing about that is, at least as far as Evangelion goes, is the only reason ADV got it was sort of actually bullshit originally. Like they weren't really, as far as I remember reading somewhere, that they originally didn't want to give it to him, but it was like through some sort of like sidestepping kind of stuff or whatever. And they weren't happy with their production of it at all.
Well, it was probably because back then when they got through the VA, it was probably really cheap to get because they weren't thinking about the Western industry at that time. Oh, by the way, I found what I was thinking.
Yeah.
By the way, I found it's called Metsuko ne Yoroshiku.
Yeah, so there was
I put it in the
distribution side. There was that, and then there was also Funimation and Crunchyroll splitting the partnership that had been in place since 2016.
Right. Okay. Which that unholy union, and I am calling it that, is magnified by the whole Anifem tie-in and Funimation's behavior with the sort of like trying to be the woke anime distribution company, which just saying that out loud is
cringy. Taking up that mantle.
Yeah,
I mean, isn't it so brave of them to come in and say a bunch of things that everybody in the audience disagrees with? Like, I hate Nazis, and you know, everybody disagrees with that statement. So very brave of them to stand up for those kind of ideas.
Actually,
of other people while doing it. That's the part that really makes me sick.
The thing I posted, it was actually a side story to I don't know, I can't understand what my husband is saying.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Yeah.
Was the Trump administration involved on that one?
But no, I'm with you on that. What really burns me about what Funimation did was they didn't make any of these shows. It's not their job.
Yeah.
To change shit around.
No, the editor should be an invisible hand. It's not. Yeah, I mean, you know, the writer, I guess, would be the
translator. Yeah,
translator. Yeah,
there should be no localizer. Let me just put that out there.
Yeah,
I'll be that guy.
Yeah, you know, so some people want all their honorifics and all that. And
don't get me wrong, I love jelly donuts. Okay, they're my favorite. However, I'm okay with a rice ball as well.
Yeah,
I'll take either.
That being said, I can't.
Okay? No,
that being said, I can't hate on the Ghost Stories dub.
Yeah, I mean the Ghost Stories dub is fine because it is throwing everything away, right?
But when you have that was the creators said, "Do what you want."
Yeah,
exactly. That was
they said we don't care. But when you get something like
they could.
what the hell's that show? Fucking
Describe it. I might know.
It's the opening song's got fucking. It's that. How'd you cage your buddy? Could you meet a kudu? I can't remember the fuck.
Steel Angel
Kurumi. Yeah.
Kurumi.
Yes.
The thing is,
I
can see the cover
of that show. It is a fucking atrocious dub that they changed for no reason other than that it was a low budget show and there's no oversight. Secondarily, the Ikitosen manga in America. They took one of a show. Now, I have a Shiozaki Yuji place in my heart that is large and engorged at all times. However,
I actually do like Ikitosen from what little I've seen of it.
It's if you get the original story, like the properly translated Ikitosen, it is a very good show. Shiozaki Yuji has fantastic comedic timing and sensibilities. He's also very good at telling a serious story when it needs to be. One of the greatest scenes in Ikitosen is I can't remember the fucking characters' names at the moment, but basically there's two girls that are lesbians and they can't really be open about it because of just the nature of everything that's going on with their. So they're because of like who one chick is and who the other one is as far as their reincarnated Magatama and that whole thing. So this chick's dying after like a vicious fight, and it's this like she finally openly admits in front of other people, like while she's dying, that she loves this other chick. In the translated manga that got put out, I forget if Tokyo Pop did it, I forget who did it. It's turned by the translator into a pee joke. She said, that bitch has pee on her panties. And then like that's literally it took a poignant moment of character development that was, something that should have been built up over, a series of several volumes and turned it into a fucking pee-stained panty joke. And
it's like where is Beavis and Butthead here?
That's what I'm saying. Like it's just this wacky fighting anime manga, so they didn't give a shit. And it's just one of those things. Like I said, it's that stuff
that really prison school.
Well, I feel like that's why they did it to prison school, and that's why they did it to Hajime to no Kyau.
If you look at the person who wrote it, you can tell that's exactly why they did it, because they basically said that. They said these kind of shows are for stupid fat neckbeards. We don't care.
Yeah.
No, I mean they literally said that.
Yeah, people who hate their audience, or who don't care, who don't respect the fact that like creative people worked on this.
This is just a show we had to get because we got other shows.
Because Kongoku Gakuen was popular on scanslation sites, so they had to fucking pick it up. That's why. That's like if you want to believe for a fucking second that what's already popular in the fan subbing and scanslation community doesn't inform what people license.
Oh yeah,
it absolutely does.
Seriously,
they're keeping an eye on that shit.
They'll deride that all day. They'll say, "Oh, you shouldn't go look at those." But that's where they get their fucking metrics.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
They'll try and shame you for going to pirate things to get things that aren't licensed already. But they'll also turn around and use the same websites for market research.
Well, yeah, and another thing is like take software like Photoshop. Tons of people pirate it. In fact, if you use it in a job, people assume you've pirated it and are good at it already.
Yeah.
Like not even a joke.
Yeah, no, that's basically Adobe accepts that that's how a lot of people are getting to know their software, which puts them inside the thing, and then later,
yeah.
Which and the weird thing is they don't even seem to be pissed about it.
No,
compared to most software,
$600.
Yeah, they accept it as a reality.
Well, yeah, it's an absurdly expensive thing that nobody's going to pay for that much unless they're already proficient with it at very least.
Which is why, and this also ties into the whole distribution.
Or they're rich.
Which is why it upsets me that we have this whole culture in the Western anime community where I call it the support the industry meme, where now we're using that as a marketing term to try and harangue people into using services that they might not fund.
Guilt tripping.
Oh yeah, that.
And that's one reason I have a problem with it is because that a significant part of the reason this market even exists is because of this legally gray, legally dubious piracy culture.
And the neckbeards, don't forget.
And the neckbeards.
Us fuckers who'll stay up till 3 a.m. to catch some shit, you know, as soon as it drops from a subgroup.
Hey,
or
we've all done it.
TV.
Don't lie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like they smell mainstream money, and anytime somebody starts to smell mainstream money, there's this, and this explains a lot of what you'll see in the way Western companies act. Like comic books, this already happened to. There is an imaginary larger audience out there somewhere that some guy has just envisioned. He's like, think about how many humans are alive right now. If we could sell to all of them, wouldn't that be great? Hey, I see a lot of tweets like hashtag me too and shit. What if we made anime characters mouthpieces for what, you know, upper middle class white women already agree with? And then we could sell it to all of them who traditionally hate the shit we put out. That's a bigger audience. And since these idiots love our shit, they'll never stop buying it for any reason whatsoever. So we can do whatever the hell we want.
That's the exact problem I have with Crunchyroll's marketing. They're fundamentally not marketing to people who are already into anime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying to build a cult. They're trying to build their own version of otaku culture in the West rather than trying to build bridges toward otaku culture as it already exists and has been perfectly fine for the past.
Now, can I talk about things that are actually popular?
Not yet.
Successful. Oh, still.
Because we're saying we want to get to the end, we've yet to get to the end.
Yeah.
Distribution. Yeah, and this is very different from how Japan handles distribution in general. I mean, they have a very cut and dried sort of way of looking at it. It seems like it's like you put the thing out there, people buy it, you recoup
that's all that matters. Yeah.
The costs, and as long as you recoup the amount it costs to make, that's at least okay.
Oh, yeah, and that's closer over here. That's closer to the way Aniplex of America does things,
runs things. Yeah, which
and
despite
they don't have
Goblin Slayer.
Hey, I didn't catch what you just said.
Didn't Aniplex just censor Goblin Slayer?
Aniplex did censor.
Or no, it was Sword Art.
Sword Art Online, yeah.
Sword Art.
That's what it was.
Yeah, exactly. Because they did the thing where they cropped it and zoomed in.
Yeah.
So here's my thing, and I'm just going to jump it in. But we can go back to the Aniplex thing about the previous point. I brought it up earlier in the show, and I think distribution is a good spot to bring it up again. Is Japan is fine to sell to a niche.
Yes.
Every American company wants to sell to as many human beings as humanly possible.
They want to cast their net.
They will blandify it. They will remove as much offensive stuff as they think they can get away with without actually alienating their underlying core audience. They're wrong about how much that core audience will put up with, or at least how often they'll put up with it. I think
certainly with anime they are.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's the problem. Japan's fine to sell to a niche. America is perfectly fine to sell to literally every human being, even if it means tearing down the art that created the thing that the people love in the first place, because they don't understand why is Star Wars doing bad? Why are the Marvel movies starting to slow down on their sales? It's because they're bland, samey horse shit. And the ones that do really well, Thor Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy, have unique artistic voices who did not manage to get trampled on the way to the box office. So it's great. But again, people start doing focus groups and they start listening to Twitter complaints. Like, okay, we have 100,000 people watch this new anime of the show. 25 people tweet stormed us about how upset they are. Okay, well, as a fraction of your audience, that's dick. Everybody watched it, and then they're going to watch episode 2, so just ignore them. But again, they want to sell. They're desperate to do it, so they cater first and worry about the fallout later.
Well, it's the difference you see between companies like Funimation and companies like Aniplex of America. You don't see, or at least I don't see, Aniplex of America doing a whole lot of wide marketing like Funimation does.
They have a target audience, and they know it.
They can trust that the people buying their shows have already watched their shows on streaming services.
Not only that, but despite claims to the contrary, they are selling stuff. They're despite their high prices and stuff, their stuff is moving.
They're doing fine as far as I know.
I mean,
it didn't work for Pony Canyon, but Pony Canyon didn't really have hell of a lot of shows.
No,
that people wanted to
they're
watch.
still doing some new stuff. Just not
Didn't work. They're not. It's not as. They don't have it as.
It's not as lucrative as the level.
Yeah, they're not at the level where Aniplex is.
No.
Aniplex, for all the complaining people were doing when the Gurren Lagann thing happened and when the Fullmetal Alchemist thing happened, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of complaining now. Aniplex appears to still be doing fine. What I'm saying is the difference in the kind of marketing where Funimation and Crunchyroll are trying to build a culture around this culture. They're trying to build a culture around the culture, whereas Aniplex knows there's a culture and caters to the existing culture and isn't concerned with growing their audience to the point where they're trying to, like Crunchyroll all out here doing all this stuff where, okay, we're going to do our own anime convention and we're going to do the anime awards and we're going to do all this auxiliary stuff. Meanwhile, our web player doesn't work properly. So we're not catering to our core audience. We're trying to branch out and build upon build.
Is it just me, or does it seem like one of the things they're doing is sort of the equivalent of the old person trying to get in with the young crowd, the hip kids, and try to market to them, but they really don't know what they're doing. So they just come across as like out of touch.
A lot of the marketing around anime in the West in general comes off to me like that. And maybe that's just me.
I have an idea of why that might be the case. I think what's happened is that there is a sort of on a mainstream side, like in so much as anime is mainstream, they are looking at anime and seeing cartoons, and then they look at Cartoon Network and what Cartoon Network sells and does, and then they kind of try to do the same thing because they're like, hey, Cartoon Network puts anime on, Adult Swim puts anime on, so the people that like Steven Universe, the people that like whatever, the people that like Rick and Morty memes, they're the same people that like anime, or they could be, because they're all cartoons. So I think that gets lumped in together, and that's why everything's so ham-fisted, because they're trying to sell a product of a different culture with a different tone to it 99% of the time, different humor, different expectations from the medium, especially among people who are already fans of the stuff. They're looking at those people and going, whatever, look at how many people love Steven Universe, look at how Cartoon Network has a bunch of money. So if we get those people in, if we make those kind of jokes, if we put hyper memes inside of our fucking or our subtitles and our dubs, then we'll get all those people too.
Well, back in the day, there was a really great fan subgroup that put freaking Ice Cube opening or something like that.
That was the
who did that?
That was the show for I'm trying to remember the show. Hackadoll.
Okay, yeah. You used to have like these fan subgroups that kind of did weird stuff like that. Some of them would like, there'd be joke ones that did everything in Ebonics or stupid shit like that.
And those are funny, like one-offs, as long as you know. Then you have a group that normally does something.
There was one for Girls in Ponzo.
Fairly normally. Like I remember it was, I think, Cole Girls Needless subs.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Because you would see those images pop up all the time.
Yeah, and it was completely incorrect. It was this hyper localized, rough translation kind of shit that wasn't even really getting close to the tone of the show. And then they got a bunch of shit on forums, and they defended their choice to do that, saying we wanted to capture the feel of the show and really bring it, so that Americans are like, so you're no worse than the fucking companies that we already don't want to buy shit from. Yeah, it's like Geneon still in business? I don't fucking think so. So like, why are you doing this? Like, knock it off,
Yeah, I mean, that reminds me of a clip from the show. I think it's from Showtime or HBO. One of those,
Sorry.
One of those pay channels. They had this show, and I can't for the life of me remember the fucking name of it. It takes place in the 70s, and these people working in the porn industry. I wish I could remember the fucking name of it. Anyway, that doesn't really matter. What the point is when they're filming or they're cutting the film, because they actually had to do that when they're editing. This one chick actually tells him okay, she adds this scene of fucking goats or stuff running and stuff like that and she's like, oh, I wanted it to be sort of building the tension and release. And the dude's like, what are we're making porn here. We're not making fucking art.
Shinden 9 in the IRC brings up a very good point. Crunchyroll is trying to engineer a culture that will be guaranteed revenue source instead of being a service to an already existing culture. It's about looking good to investors. They've been poisoned by this corporate line of thinking.
That's the thing I should bring up. Crunchyroll is owned by Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Upchain, it's Warner Brothers.
According to somebody we know, they also have direct ties to the DSA somewhere. Like some of the people that used to that are in charge or used to be. I don't know if they still are. I think that's really weird for you
I just like it to be more well known that that's the corporate structure of a lot of these places, because I think they get a lot of free goodwill from seeming like this plucky independent company.
And they're not.
But no, they're a subsidiary of Elation by a couple steps, who's under Warner Brothers online department, who's just a Warner Brothers. They're 5 steps down a Warner Brothers subsidiary, but
Kevin Bacon kind of shit.
Yeah, they're funded. They are not a quaint startup by otakus. They're a fucking corporate entity.
Well, it all began when was it 2007, 2009, somewhere around there. They got $4 million something from Venrock. So they were a plucky,
they were
tiny little plucky startup until they got $4 million, and while actively engaged in illegal activity for their
as it exists, they fall under the same umbrella again, they're literally under the same umbrella as Rooster Teeth.
Yeah.
Who again, they get a lot of goodwill as being this plucky, hey, it's Bernie and the boys and Funhouse and all these guys are plucky content creators. No, they're on Warner Brothers payroll. They're a couple marks down, but they have quotas. They have, ROI expectations. They're not doing it for the love of the game. And
it's not DIY here.
Yeah, it's maybe the people that work there are enthusiastic. From what I've seen, I doubt it. They're probably enthusiastic about Steven Universe, but I can't even argue that with that fucking, I'm going to put big air quotes, anime they're making.
Pimping themselves out for rock or whatever.
Yeah, so it's, like you said, it's not a plucky startup. It's a fucking Warner Brothers company that is now making Steven Universe. And I think that bears out the idea. It's like, what's that guy's name? Look at Shinden 9 says they want, you know what I mean? They want a corporate culture. They want to be Cartoon Network because Cartoon Network sells consistently.
Not only that, but corporate things are a lot easier to control.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, it's not plucky. They're not giving money back to the scene we give a shit about. They're trying to make a new Cartoon Network that can also import stuff. If you think that fucking show they're making is going to be anything except the broadest Sailor Moon Rainbow Bright memes fucking writ poorly by a bunch of angry people, then just forget it.
That don't understand that we like green-haired anime characters, not green-haired humans.
Yeah.
Oh, one of the people's totally like a man-hater, by the way.
Is that really a surprise?
I saw the trailer.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
We've made it a point to not hire any men. Oh, awesome.
Cool. Oh, no, I'm talking about like they've gone through the person's social media. And
I'm sure. Like it wouldn't surprise. Well, yeah, when you start a company with the express of finally giving women a chance. Sorry. Clamp. Oh, jeez. Oh, God, some weird, unnecessary sneezing jokes from the 1990s that I just had right there. But yeah, it's that goofy bullshit.
Where people are talking real fast and like, so what if I started figuring,
Yeah. What do you suppose I'm supposing?
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of thing. Yeah, but
That's
again,
not
it's,
that trousers.
it's just I don't know. Like you said, I'm sad at the state of distribution. To bring it back to the core point, I think the fact that Funimation has basically, for all intents and purposes, become a monopoly. That's a bit of a bummer because Funimation wasn't exactly punching at a great weight back when they got DBZ in the day, like the stuff that they sort of got early on, that set them apart. So like they're not the company that I would think would take the reins in a great way. There were some companies in like the early 2000s that might have tried to do it right. Like who are the guys that got Furikuri the first time?
That's a good point.
Yeah, those guys had a lot of respect for the material. They still did a dub, but they did a lot of work on it. I still hate dubs, but that's fine.
I know what you're talking. I just don't remember the company.
Yeah, I can't remember the name.
No, me either. That's gonna bother me now.
Yeah. Those guys, they never went anywhere because they put too much work in and for not enough output. You know what I mean? Like you've got to sell fucking. You got to sell Sanji eating a lollipop.
Shinden L says, "I wish Bandai Entertainment was still around." You know what?
I do, but they made some crucial errors at a time when they couldn't have made them.
Also, Bandai is a very different company now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I think they would have fallen the same way because Bandai's become a very, very weird, pandery, profit-hungry company, even in Japan.
As opposed, was it because what Nozomi's been doing for like Gundam has been, pretty much what people have been asking for
forever.
Yeah, just release everything and don't do it these stupid individual volume shit.
That's what killed them. That is what killed them because they were still doing it when everybody else saw the writing on the wall that wasn't going to work anymore for people.
Yeah.
And Japan's actually, speaking of distribution, Japan's actually catching on to that too these days. They're starting to put things more in boxes now.
They're putting more episodes, less volumes into.
Yeah, they are. I don't see that happening for hentai, but that's a whole nother kettle.
Well, hentai is made episode by episode.
That's more. Yeah, you're not gonna.
How Queen Bee can justify charging 3,500 yen for a goddamn episode of the stuff that they make?
Yeah, I mean, like that would be like Trey and Matt Stone. That'd be like
if you told me that was one guy in a basement, I would 100% believe it. If you told me that Queen Bee was one guy with a fucking DVD copier in a basement and copy After Effects, I'd be like, that makes a lot of fucking sense.
Actually, let's be even more ridiculous. It's not even a DVD. He's got like those weird Eastern Bloc fucking things that people used to do, like magnetic tapes and stuff.
Yeah. He's sitting down there with reel-to-reel DATs.
Yeah. I could just see it. He's sitting there with Pocky in his thing. I'll fucking make this best porn you've ever seen.
I'm gonna trace one thing.
Now can I read some of the what?
I will tell you when it's time, VZ.
Look, you're getting put in the corner.
I don't want to get tired.
Well, yeah, but you're starting to sound like, are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Because going directly off of the Crunchyroll discussion, we need to talk about censorship. Because that's been a big issue.
And that's where we're going to finish off with this, I think.
All right.
And then,
I think you can say the words.
Make it sound like a hall monitor, Wombat.
Yeah. Then you're allowed to speak.
Particularly with Crunchyroll, there were a couple big issues.
And recently, I mean, these didn't happen a while back or anything.
Well, within the year 2018, at least.
Yeah.
Number one is that last year they announced at Anime NYC that they were getting into game localization. Around April of this year, they released their first game, and contrary to the advertisement they had put out before, there was an entire feature released. There was an entire feature cut from the game in its localized form, and people got upset about that.
And they basically tried to hand wave it when people called them on it.
So you guys are pervert dickheads. Why would you want this anyway?
Yeah. Like people literally basically said that.
What's weird to me is it's slightly before that,
yeah,
because it's been removed from multiple games, the petting features.
Yeah.
I just want anybody who's in favor of removing these, like, not people who are like, where do you even care anyway? Like, fuck off, that's a disingenuous question. But people who are like, yeah, it's important that these come out. What the fuck do they think happens if that feature stays in the game? Mass hysteria? Is it going to be rape trains around the block? It's, like, what happens?
Yeah, are there going to be like people running around randomly?
Like, what happens if I can pet a fucking live 2D character on my fucking 3DS or my phone? What changes in me that I become a fucking pedophile rapist? I don't understand what happens.
It's what changes in me, and why do you have to be the custodian?
Yeah, and why do you get to pick? But like, it's the same thing. It's like, don't swear in front of kids. Don't, we can't let kids see these nipples or anything offensive in this anime show that was not made for children in the first. But like, what happens though? I want somebody to hold them up to the fire and go, what the fuck happens? What happens if they hear the swear word or see the titty? I've seen so many titties, man. I've never.
When I was a kid,
nothing happens
for a man. Come on.
What happens? Why don't they tell me? I just touched her with a stylus and nothing happens. They just keep saying it. They're like, well, we had to remove that feature because what? Well, it was offensive too. Who the people? It's like when they don't let you say the N-word on BET. Like, who's that for? You're watching BET, man. There's the one word you should expect to hear. Like, I bought Titty Game. I bought the Titty Game. I want the titties. Why are you taking them out? That's the whole point. Like, oh, you can't pet the character because what? I might feel like an emotional response from a character in a video game and then abandon real life. I figured it out.
Go to the grocery store and start petting random people. I mean, what the fuck?
They don't want us to replace them with waifus. I knew it.
You go to the grocery store, see the watermelons, just start poking them with your finger.
Start caressing them. Like,
am I the only one that's getting kind of sick of the whole, like, this, like, sort of this thing that people are going on about anti-porn because it's like it's what's leading to the decrease in the population?
I hate to tell you that, but I mean, this is a really dumb fucking thing. I mean, just in general, because that's assuming if porn didn't exist, these people would be getting bitches.
That's an uncharitable view, but I don't disagree with it. I talked about this a lot on one of my podcasts on.
Are you okay, anyways?
He felt the realness wash over him. It was like, that's real. That's some real shit I just heard right there. But I talked about this a little bit on my podcast because Niwa asked, and I think that the value proposition of relationships has gone down. You don't get as much out of it as a dude. Like, it's always a lot of focus on dudes who don't want to be in relationships, as though, like, women are just out there clamoring for relationships over and over in a modern world that's like, I want to be a businesswoman and I hook up on Tinder or whatever. And like, that's fine. Like, whatever people want to do, I'm fine with it. But the value proposition for a dude is become increasingly terrible over time. It's not that we have porn and that we have other options. It's that the value return out of spending your time, money, and energy loving another person is not what it used to be. And for a lot of guys, I think there are a lot of women who, in the modern age of, telling them that they're great and everything's perfect for them, they have come to expect a higher class of man than they are possibly appropriately attractive for. And I don't think you're allowed to suggest that as like an idea. Like, maybe you're just kind of fat and ugly, so the dudes you want to fuck don't want to fuck you, but the dudes that do want to fuck you
It's funny. That's when people complain about, like, well, why don't they talking with Japan just, or just get together and, with women. And it's like,
you don't understand how the socio climate of that actually works at all, do you?
It's like women who are going to want a very small percentage of men who are pretty much like I've read they want doctors and whatever. I don't know if they said lawyers, because I don't know if lawyers are as valuable in Japan as here, but that that hyper alpha
the businessman who can basically waste money on sports cars is a whim.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, there's also in Japan, and this is part of it as well, that's coming. I think it's less the doctor thing and the make a lot of money thing, although stable income is definitely one of the sort of standards. There's also a real problem with the way, in much the way that people would suggest here, Western romanticism has become a very popular thing among Japanese women. So the idea of how Western men treat women and how our romantic relationships work has been sort of idealized through a lot of Western media that comes out over there. And women want that more, plus the sort of increase in working women that, wasn't really as much of a thing before. I'd say probably even the 80s in Japan. It obviously kicked up a little bit earlier over here, but and there are forms like Western Twitter is also starting to have an influence on that stuff, with there being several recent prominent hashtags on Japanese Twitter about how females are being treated in the workplace and just societal expectations on both men and women being brought up and criticized more on Twitter. So there's sort of a rising feminist tide over there that, Japan obviously has some shit to fix on that front in a big, big way, but it's starting to rise up because of the Western stuff. Like, people forget about that America really leads the world culturally about what the discussion is going to be. Our media filters to everybody.
Yep.
Whereas like, I don't really know shit about, say, like what people are enjoying on TV in Germany or Finland. Everybody knows American TV. So that stuff filtered in, and it's sort of deepened the divide between women and men, and also ready access to things like girlfriend experience, cafes and host clubs and things like that have made it so that you can commoditize love in a way that you can't do in America yet. We're getting there. We're getting just as sad and desperate as Japan, and we love consuming. So we're going to end up in a lot of the same places, I think. Not that I think, I should clarify, I don't think that's necessarily a problem. I don't care if humanity, stops breeding itself until it goes out of existence, because I'll be dead long before that ever happens. And people should do whatever they like.
That's
I mean, that's one of those things that, and I don't know if this is a Western thing or not. You'll have to possibly fill me in on this. I mean, yeah, I'm the history guy, but this is one of those things that I honestly am not sure if this is sort of just a Western interpretation of things, but we have a lot of people that think your very existence necessitates that you have to try to make the world a better place. And I just don't buy that.
Yeah, I think that's a very popular Western and
you have to make for
European
the future generation
kind of idea. Yeah, that caring widely, like think globally, act locally. That's some shit that came up in like the 90s. Like, legitimately, like all this stuff has been going on for decades. But yeah, that's the new meme for sure.
And it's weird when people come across somebody like myself that just doesn't care about that. It's like you got to make the world a better place. No, I don't. When I don't have children. When I die, it's over.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like it's one of the things that the modern world is sort of not accounting for, because it's starting to get a little idealistic very publicly. It's a lot of college people who are very idealistic, and that's why the censorship comes into it as well, because it's about creating the best environment. It's a mommy knows best kind of situation on the far left, whereas the far right's sort of a daddy knows best situation, which is pull your pants up and stop being such a queer or whatever. And on the left side, it's like, hey, you gotta, eat your vegetables and, do whatever's healthy for you. So I think, shit, I forgot where I was going with that because everybody laughed. Fucking interrupt.
It's funny. It's
funny because it's true.
They want to demonize. And again, I'm not saying that they're not at fault themselves, because obviously fault. But it's funny how the media loves to demonize this sort of MGTOW people, but they don't want to go into the specific reasons why things have gotten to that point.
Yeah, these. Any kind of groups like that, they don't want to recognize that they exist. They don't exist in a vacuum. There's a reason they don't want to admit there's a problem.
Yeah. I remembered my point. It was that I was getting around to that I had to set up, but it was the value propositions are wrong. right? They've stopped accounting for human nature and they've started to account for sort of a collective idea of what the best thing to do is. I think Japan is it has that in a very different way that's maybe a little bit more resilient to that sort of idea.
It's funny. When I used to listen to them, the Young Turks, I
apologize.
Yeah, they would always go on about Japan and the population.
Ask them about the Armenian population.
And
doing great.
And they would offer these
bad happened at all.
They would offer these stupid solutions, or they think they got a reason like down why, or it's like. And the best part was someone in the comments who was Japanese totally
like wrecked them.
Yeah. Like like you got served like that level.
Well, they don't. They're doing it as
because they don't listen to what people are saying. They just make up whatever they want. And if you say something in contrary to that, they just like plug their ears and shove their head up their ass. I mean,
they also don't listen to the source, right?
No, definitely not.
They don't actually care about that issue.
Yeah,
or they don't actually care. It's
preserving the culture. Yeah, it's just a thing they get to say.
It's just it's a human interest piece to them.
Yeah,
and they're gonna bring it up. They're gonna talk on their half-assed opinions on it because they don't actually have any investment in it. They don't actually care.
Well, they don't have any background to start that discussion in the first place, right? They have filter heard stuff by reading a Guardian or BBC article about Japan's declining birth rate with no knowledge of how Japanese culture is different from us. There's this very, like, all over the West, Europe and America both, we tend to assume that cultures are similar to ours at a baseline, right? Like the core tenets.
And they're
which
not.
Could not be farther from the truth, especially for East Asian countries, Japan, China, and Korea. Korea is a little bit more westernized in some ways, but there's still a social strata that we have never had anything like.
Asia in general really looks to India's caste system. I mean, there's no real getting around it, even though it's different in these places. It still exists sort of in some cases unwritten, and sometimes it is written.
I love like Cenk Uygur goes like, just say hello. That's like,
oh yeah. Well, again, they don't.
That just makes them look like a complete
problem solved. Crippling social anxiety. Thanks, I'm here.
That was another. Oysters are aphrodisiac.
They took this story from another outlet, the Guardian and whatnot, and they don't care about the issue either.
Yeah.
They're just doing it as a regular ass human interest story. Hey, look at this weird problem that's going on in Japan.
But here's the weird thing about it.
It's not like we're not gonna really investigate.
It's concerned white people in most cases. Yeah. But and the weird thing about that is if you look at most of these places like Scandinavia, Iceland, and all these places, their birth rates have dropped about the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, the value proposition is not great.
And it's not a weird human interest thing. If we want to talk about that, that ends up.
Well, also if they criticize Scandinavia, how are they going to lean on them for all their, moral opinions?
Social works, kind of bits.
Just stop making them weird tentacle cartoons. It's like,
yeah, that's not really as so much of a talking point these days. I mean, that was more back in the day when the Blue Girl managed to sneak onto shelves.
Yeah,
but there's still people. I love to this day. There's still people who think that the panty vending machine thing was an actual thing.
Yeah, that wasn't just like some sleazy backdoor kind of shit.
Yeah, they existed, but in very specific shops.
In the same way that like people suck dick in an alley somewhere. I mean, you might come across it, but unless you're specifically looking for it,
it's not like, oh, you can walk to the school. Oh, hello.
A great movie about that is Bounce Kogals, which is it was a movie from the 90s, early 2000s, I think. Really, really good movie that's about a chick who she's just trying to like get through a day. It's a really like character piece thing. Good artsy shithead movie. I recommend it.
But to bring it back to the Don Momo game thing.
Yeah.
Here's what I like. and I use like sarcastically, in the most sarcastic way I can possibly can, because this is the response. We've heard your feedback on responses regarding localization for the official Don Memo account. We want to apologize for both the inaccuracy and the tone of these comments that stem from miscommunications between various stakeholders in the game's marketing. We regret how this was handled, and it does not reflect Crunchyroll's opinions. We've made steps to ensure further communications will do better in terms of accuracy or in respect Crunchyroll games. Now, what they didn't do is fix the game.
But boy, that doesn't just
we're sorry you're upset.
We're really, really sorry.
You're upset.
We're sorry, but we're not gonna solve the problem.
Yeah. We made the game and told you it was for you, but we don't like you, so we didn't actually make it for you.
Yeah. And we advertised a feature in it right up until it came out.
Right? No, until after it came out.
Yeah, okay, yeah, my bad.
And then pulled that when people got mad at us for false advertising.
Yeah, and then of course you had this army of like freaky dipshits that are just like, well, you can just import it. Just like, well, that's not really the point. The point is you advertise it as part of it being in the game. This is false advertising, you dumb fuck.
You advertised a feature that you had to take out of the game.
Yeah. Well, and as a method to get goodwill with hardcore fans.
Yeah.
Blatant, like they knew they were taking it out. That's not an insubstantial amount of work to skip those scenes.
You can't accidentally take something out of a game.
Yeah.
I just don't even understand why it's always those sequences that get taken out. Like, I still don't understand the premise upon which those can't be in. Like all the titty still images or the live 2D stuff that you can't touch can be, but like that can't
because fictional characters have rights and real ages.
Yeah, it's like a consent thing, I guess, for a fucking cartoon. Like, okay,
yeah, I mean, when you say it out loud, it sounds utterly absurd.
Yeah, it sounds real dumb when you say it like that. Well, maybe it's just real fucking dumb then.
And you're either ignoring that it's dumb or you can't tell the difference between fantasy and reality, and that's a whole nother problem.
Well, that's part of my whole, like, going back to my whole mission statement as just a content creator. It's like I want people to be able to answer that because when they try to throw the lame one at you of like, well, what do you want it for anyway? It doesn't need to be in the game. That you got to own that shit and be like, yeah, it does. Okay, I want to pat the heads of cute girls. Okay, and if you don't like that, fuck you. Don't play. Just get the fuck out. Just okay.
Or just never touch that feature of the game.
Yeah, just don't do it. Or just fuck off in general. Just go be a fan of something else. If you're not a fan of the thing they made, you're not a fan of the thing they made. That's some shit.
So it bothers me.
It's infected the American mindset, and I think there's this large undercurrent of, I'm going to put big air quotes around the idea of anime fans who are actually just fans of Japanese style drawings. They're not anime fans. They do not give a fuck about Japanese culture. They don't care about any of the stuff that sort of underpins that, or, again, what is acceptable in a culture that's not their version of middle-class America. They just like Japanese style drawings. They want it dubbed. They want it sanitized. They want it localized because they like those drawings. They look very nice.
I love sushi.
They like things that happen to be anime.
Oh God. That freaking I know what he's talking about. That fucking like what was that?
Was it Karakan?
Yeah, it's up in Seattle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Gilgamesh.
Yeah. Like just like I think all anime fans just went, no.
No, I went. That describes me exactly. I can't wait to go to SakuraCon.
Here's
I
how you know
to see Naruto and Sasuke there.
You know how that's so bad is when you identify more with the guy yelling at them.
Please leave.
The guy's like, get the hell out of here, you damn weeb.
Now, see, that's one of those things too that I always lean behind the fact that I don't deny the fact that we as sort of a group, and I don't join groups, right? But like as the people that like anime a lot, we tend to be cringy, awkward fucking people. and that's fine. I don't know how many fucking like. I mean, you know, a lot of the guys I hung out with back in the day weren't quite so cringy, but there's always a couple in the group, and we all have our moments. You know what I mean? Like, the Hindane booth is a good example, right, of what.
I couldn't hear you.
Well, no, I've bonded with some people at the Hindane booth.
Right? I mean, that's where you get to know family for life.
Yeah, exactly.
That said, the yaoi paddles are also one of the banes of modern anime in America, and they are personally responsible for that.
I'm
actually the best thing about Hindane,
I find the cringy people, the people closer to cringy, so much more refreshing to hang with than a lot of the other people, like a lot of the other people in the anime fandom who are
the down the nose sneering people. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Well, the thing is, you mentioned
like real highbrow and what, or try to be at least.
You mentioned Hindane, and can we all just take a minute to appreciate the guy who's always yelling? That guy's a champ.
He got in trouble a bunch of times, man. Yeah. I think he's banned from a couple cons
now. Oh, that sucks. He's the best part about it. The shit he would say
the stuff he was shouting was just glorious.
Oh yeah, I mean, like
I think it was about 2012, the 2011, the first complaint started rolling in.
Like I remember the first.
We'll tell him to go the fuck home.
The first time I heard him was probably at Expo in 2013, because he was like standing there and he was advertising some yaoi and yelling, "Come and get your butt love."
Yeah,
and I'm just like, does this guy always do that?
For a long time, man. I love those guys.
Oh yeah, they're fucking hilarious.
I think I support Expo's move to have an 18+ section so that stuff can continue.
Oh yeah, me too.
Without
dipshits that don't want to be there.
The children excuses to try to stop it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, because quite frankly, it's getting annoying when you got these like half shaved head idiots, like you said, sneering down, like, I can't believe they allow this kind of stuff. And you're just like,
then just walk the fuck away.
Most people here, like, don't give a fuck about that. They don't.
It's like, they're not actually concerned about what if kids see it. It's not their actual.
Well, no, that's not even the ones they say. That wasn't even the case with this person. They were more like,
actually one time it was. They said there are young people, there are young fans around, and he's shouting obscene stuff. It was was it Anime Asen? Maybe it was Asen. I think was the group that that was the board the complaint was. I can't remember though. It's been a long time.
What do you know what he said?
I don't remember. It was the same kind of shit though. Like it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but again,
vulgar, but not swear words. You know?
Right? What happened to those kids? Are they like in? Are they in like
that's
juvenile?
What I'm saying. What
juvenile? Happens? Are they in juvenile detention or something? Somewhere?
Explain what happens. Anytime somebody says, "What about this?" Go, "What happens?" You tell me what you think is going to happen, and then I'll consider banning or censoring the thing. You
tell me worst case scenario.
Yeah, imagine the worst case scenario. Explain how we get there, and then maybe we can talk about it.
Yeah,
but until somebody explains what fucking happens, any question of censorship should just be no.
Yeah, it's my favorite game. Make them play it out.
Yeah.
Okay, play it out.
Tell me the whole story. Yeah. What's your end game here? Like,
because they might hear something they may not understand.
Oh no, an adult might have to give context to a child, or what we used to call raise it. Oh no, an adult raise its child? Madness.
That's never happened.
Yeah, I mean,
Netflix and YouTube should do that for me.
No,
we do have one more censorship story, and this one's very recent. So there was a rape scene or an almost rape scene. I don't know. I'm not watching the show. Sword Art Online.
On Sword Rape Online.
And what happened?
The other one too, right? With the fucking fairy cage.
Yeah.
And did they cut that one out entirely?
I don't know. I don't know.
Go ahead.
I don't watch any of these shows.
Not me either.
So what happened was the version that was put on Crunchyroll and other Western streaming services.
But not European, actually.
Not European.
The Aniplex one was uncensored.
Yeah.
In Europe.
It was censored further than the TV version was. Now this caused quite a debate because people who didn't have access to the original TV broadcast were insisting that, okay, this is just the same censorship they do to sell Blu-rays, when in fact it was not. It was censored further from what the TV broadcast showed. And this caused quite a stir, as there was speculation that, okay, did Crunchyroll do something to it? Because something had to happen between the TV broadcast and here. And the prevailing theory is that the version they got from Aniplex was censored to the level that we saw on Crunchyroll, further than the TV broadcast. Which is a new paradigm for me, because now companies producing the anime in Japan are sending over pre-censored material for Crunchyroll, and the question is, why are they doing that?
Yeah, I mean, and this is just a really nonsensical. The way they try to spin a lot of this stuff usually either doesn't make sense, or it just ends up being PR bullshit.
Well, here's the thing: it's like there's been no spin on it, because all Crunchyroll says is, "Hey, it wasn't us. This is just what we got."
Right there, and again, you get the image of the Spider-Man, thing pointing at each other.
Aniplex is silent. They're not going to say anything about it. I guarantee you, they're not going to comment on it.
No.
So what really happens is, this is a wait and see. See if this happens again with the same company or with another company, to see if it's just Aniplex doing this.
I just as an aside, I think we need to let VZ do this thing. I think he's about to crash over there.
Yeah, no. This is the last thing we're doing. But all I'm saying is, this is something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think that there is right now there are a lot of concerns in Japan that I have around potential censorship and crackdowns, because I mean my purview right at the moment is the porn industry and the hentai side of things. And Japan loves to use international attention as an excuse to crack down on things, and so they've been floating the Tokyo Olympics as an excuse to be
try to sweep it under the rug,
to be very vigilant, right, about what,
and then they're not going to take it back out from under the rug.
So I'm willing to bet that.
Oh yeah, I heard about why Saren Kagura might be the last of game of its type.
Yeah, and again, I think that that's largely a cover, because the Japanese government likes to censor stuff. They like to talk about public morals and the public good. They would be China if they could. Sadly, we forced them to write a constitution that will not allow that. So, just took a couple of nukes, boom, free constitution. Pretty decent trade. So I think that's a concern, them using Tokyo 2020 as a lot of things. So I think that as a knock-on, Goblin Slayer getting actual mainstream press attention, not real mainstream, but let's admit that Vox and The Guardian are seen as mainstream by any outside viewing source. Aniplex probably caught wind of that because it made the news. Like, you know what I mean? The fact that there's brutal rape. Yeah, because they're fucking goblins, dude.
Yeah.
Those things, like Japan's cultural taboos are very different from our cultural taboos, and always have been, because they're a different fucking country. I know it's crazy.
Yeah, as opposed to ANN, sort of like they're just like us, except
that's been floated forever. Like, again, they just think they're quirky versions of the West, where they think that we, like, collectively as a Western society, think that
it's like you don't fucking get it. They have thousands of years that aren't under Judeo-Christianity. Yeah,
and same for China, same for Korea. There's an underpinning to their society that is drastically different from ours.
They look to Confucius, not and things like that.
In Korea, there was Confucianism more so. In China, it's a lot of local religion. The same in Japan. Zen Buddhism came in later, and then it turned into Shinto, which is this sort of mix of local animism that existed at the time and the Buddhism that was coming in just sort of piled on top of it so that Buddhism would be more acceptable, because that's what the formal hierarchy liked, because it was a little bit easier to introduce priests and things like that.
Right.
So
understood. I mean, yeah, I mean, but he in Asia, he is a central figure, though.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Well, Confucius is not going to be a day-to-day guy that gets brought up in Japan. Like, again,
no, I wouldn't say that. I'm just saying
in Korea,
impact though.
Yeah, well, Confucianism, as far as sort of underpinnings of society go, yeah, and that's largely because of the Chinese imperial court really enjoying the fact that Confucius was, and this is a history lesson now, I guess, but Confucius was about society first and individualism second, and so yeah, that very much does permeate through. It's also
why
ideas. Whereas Buddhism was a lot more about individuality and what is good for the individual. So yeah, the Chinese aristocracy very much pushed that for lots of years because it was good for social control.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway, what was I talking about? Censorship. Shit. Shut the K-Gods. I'm trying to talk about censorship. So yeah, I think Tokyo 2020 is being used as a sort of moralistic guise. Goblin Slayer got a lot of negative attention. So I think Aniplex Japan probably very possibly handed down this writ independent of Crunchyroll. Again, I wouldn't put it past Crunchyroll requesting the censorship, but I think Crunchyroll would be a lot more aware of the backlash they'd get from it. So I think they're less guilty. And what's more guilty is that the fact that Goblin Slayer's rape scene got massive press coverage comparably in America, that got back up the chain to Aniplex JP, and they said, hey, we gotta, just this scene in particular, because there's a bunch of other shit that they leave in there that's perfectly fine and in other shows as well. But the rape scene in particular, because that was the bugbear for the press.
What's funny is people said, like, I remember a little isolated, but some people were like, I saw a thing someone said like, Goblin Slayer, was it the darkest anime ever? And it's like,
yeah,
you haven't been here very long, have you?
Yeah,
it's like even if you go back 10 years, you got things like Berserk and
well, fucking everything Okamoto Lin's ever made.
Yeah, or even the more violent stuff that Go Nagai does.
I got a thing called Angel Cop for you.
Or just any random fucking 80s OVA. I mean, really, like Geno Sniper.
Yeah, they're taboos.
Violent Jack that has cannibalism.
But like I said, I think in this case, it's everybody's worried about preemptively ducking government censorship.
Right.
Realistically, I think what we're seeing there is normies that otherwise only saw like your Shonen Jump stuff is running across things like that, or Ero Manga Sensei.
Well, it's people who fundamentally aren't already into anime
and understand how it works are now being exposed to aspects of it that they didn't really know were there, and they're having this weird culture shock kind of thing going on.
Funnily enough, that's an intentional that is a calculable consequence of selling to the Cartoon Network crowd.
Bingo.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're
making the new Steven Universe, and look, we got whatever. Like, look at these funny, quirky shows that'll make you giggle and have a good time. By the way, Goblin Slayer,
this has rape and girls peeing themselves and things like that, and it's all shown.
Yeah, and that stuff an American cartoon would never touch because it's not the purview of animation to ever discuss those kinds of hardcore stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, the closest we ever really got is maybe like the animated version of Spawn or something like that.
Yeah, heavy metal, those kind of things.
Yeah, exactly. And quite frankly, I don't think
the reason people remember those is because they're one-offs.
They're outliers,
and they're 2 decades old at the earliest.
Yeah, like the people complaining weren't even alive when these things came out.
In the case of what I just said, it at the time was considered financial bomb.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway,
even though that's like the definition of like something
it's niche material, and it was a lot harder to sell the niches back then, and now it's not. But America hasn't caught up on that.
Exactly.
If companies do rise up, well, part of the problem with the company trying to come up to sell niche content is that now they can do upchain attacks on you against your payment processors and make your fucking life difficult. So,
see, I just wish that there was a way of the Western, because we have talented people and artists. Wish there was a way to recruit people to like, hey, make your own shit. Then
they're doing that. It's just
Patreon's enabling it somewhat, but
then in another universe, I would have written a book called "Make Your Own Goddamn Anime."
It's not going to sell well. Nobody wants to be told to do hard work.
Well,
it's like just ask a prisoner.
Well, like I said on the show a while ago, there's people doing that, but it's all young black men really into shonen anime.
That's true,
and they're killing it right now.
Yeah, I am going to be very, very happy when those guys, because I like every single one of my like otaku friends got shit from their local community. And I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that moment, right, where those dudes get to go, look, we're the fucking nerds. It's our time now.
Go.
Again, I want them to branch out from shonen though. Like they're really stuck in. I think there's a lot of cultural taboos in the black community, especially because of the like extremely strong, still religious, community in black communities in general. Like Christianity is still way big there in a way that in white communities that's really died off a lot. And I think that's why the shonen stuff is super easy for them to get into, that plus the cultural pressure of like what are those little fucking girl figures you've got that, you know what I mean? Like if you get clowned on real hard, like all of a sudden you're losing your friends that you hang out with all day every day because they just don't get what you're into, you know what I mean?
Anubis, you can attest to this, right? Black guys love DBZ.
Oh yeah.
Yes, as the local black guy, yes, black guys do.
And Boku no Hero, like again, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
not even joking. Young black men are really in not just DBZ, but shonen anime in general.
Yeah,
Bleach, Naruto.
It speaks to like true shit about being a man, right?
Young black men are some of the most into shonen people you will ever encounter.
And that's another thing. That we're seeing with a lot of this stuff, quote unquote.
Like 6 people I knew would wear those DBZ shirts back in the day. It was like me and my 5 black friends. Silky DBZ shirt, man. It was fucking 6 sizes too big. I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
What's up, airbrush DBZ? I'm fucking rocking the mall ninja shit, dude. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I had one of those too in a very similar situation where you'd be walking around and they'd be the only ones who even knew what the fuck you were on about.
Yeah.
Where's my Idolmaster silk shirt?
Hit us with these rankings.
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm real sorry.
That's okay. Just
hey, it's your time to shine, dude.
Also,
just own it.
Hit us with the link in the IRC so I can look at it.
Oh, well, I actually put them up, but I'll re-put them again.
No. He already put them up.
All right. Well, I'll put the most important one that because this kind of tells you top selling media franchises in Japan 2018.
Okay.
It kind of tells you, I expected this. Number 1.
It's Idolmaster, of course.
Fucking Idolmaster.
Number 2, Love Live.
One Piece. Holy shit. Detective Conan. Did you know that I think it was Detective Conan that one of the guys, or I don't know if they're a guy, but one of the people who worked on some of the Detective Conan stuff also did the Stringendo shit.
Ha. What a champion.
Yeah. I think that was it.
I love that in Japan.
Their sense of collaborative or ideas are not they're not so much compartmentalized like that.
One of my favorite hentai, both Guy Double Target and Legend of Leon Flair, that the character designer also did this shonen kid show from the early 90s.
Well, it's like Toshio Maeda has written children's stuff before.
Everybody's a beautiful, multifaceted human being.
The friendly octopus.
No, it was not that. Although it would be absolutely hilarious if it was.
The friendly squid.
I'll say this, man. I think the most passionate tweets, because like most of my feed now that I just basically kicked out everybody that speaks English because it was always political shit, and I got sick of seeing it on Twitter. It's all idol shit. Like the most passionate. Like anytime I get like 10 tweets between updates, it's from one person and it's all idol shit. So yeah, I mean the idol stuff is massive. You got Bandora, you've got Love Live, you've got Idol Master still kicking it. There was this chick talking about how it was her dream since she was a kid to voice act Idol Master, because I mean that's been going on apparently longer than I remember.
Yeah,
I'm just that fucking old at this point.
Idols are you know, they're like cattle. I heard someone.
It's a really like what's kind of sad about the state of idol shit in Japan is that it has become a very, very exploitative industry on the lower end. Like it's Japan's entertainment industry has always been very rigid.
Yeah, I know, but
fucked up. But on the low end, like holy shit, dude! Like local idols get no pay, work like 80 hours a week plus going to school.
I still like the like no pun intended, the hyper idolized vision of what idols are.
What Satoshi Kon's version, where everything goes great.
Listen, as long as it's not Wake Up Girls, okay.
You got to get your 9/11 references in there,
right?
Well, okay.
Also, real quick though, shouts to Eiichiro Oda getting a statue in his hometown.
Okay,
more to the Luffy statue.
More from this list. I'm not going to read all of them, but My Hero Academia, Fate series.
Yep, number 8.
Attack on Titan.
Isn't it crazy to anybody else? Like when I first saw Fate Stay Night, I could not have told you that like a decade hence that it was going to be this.
Seriously,
because it is a fucking one. It's a clusterfuck, but two, holy shit, is everybody into it?
To me,
it's only become more of a clusterfuck.
And here's the thing about the Fate franchise. It's bad when you almost need a fucking flow chart to figure it out.
When you need a flow chart to figure out which saber you're looking at.
Yeah, exactly. Like what the fuck is going on here?
Listen, it's impenetrable to me, and I'm the guy that like remembers the 3 sizes to various idols.
So there you have it.
I've basically given up on trying to figure out Fate, and I just like gawking at the girls in it.
Although
franchise, I'm like I can say I'm a fan of it, but I don't.
Yeah. I am actually kind of. I do have a curiosity to check out the one that's coming up based on the mobile game.
Family? Oh,
the Fate series based on the mobile game.
Yeah, Grand Order.
Okay, that's what it's called.
That's
a character on there. Maybe you've heard of her. Wombat, Passion Lip. All right, go this character design if you've never seen what she looks like.
I just saw pictures of her the other day.
Yeah, 160.
I got some fucking gotcha fans on my Twitter feed too. Holy shit.
Yeah, 160 cm bust.
So much fucking FGO shit through my goddamn.
What's
it's
funny
Girls Frontline and Fate Grand Order shit all day.
I've been weighing whether or not I should get into Girls Frontline because that seems directly up my alley.
Okay. Let me go.
I'll tell you, there's some great art in there. The gameplay is because it's. I mean, obviously, you give a shit, but there's a lot of buttons to press all day long. I don't really like the games that are like do some stuff, put the game down for 2 hours, come back.
Right.
And that one's that in spades. So if you're cool with that, it's a good time. Otherwise, and if you've got unnecessary amounts of money,
the only ones I play is the Love Live one, School Idol Festival.
Yeah.
That's
a fun game. Bandora is fun too. If you haven't done that one,
I also play
Girls, whatever. That one's good.
I also play, but I haven't played in a while. Is the Idol Master Shiny Colors one, which is totally Japanese, like totally Japanese text, and so I don't want to do that. But it's more like me guessing what to do, which is why I haven't been as good with it. Let's see. Oh, Gundam's on here.
Yep.
Kamen Rider.
Number 17.
Yeah, I'm impressed that like Haikyuu and Slam Dunk are still going strong.
Yeah, seriously.
Sword Art Online, of course.
Naturally.
Even that time I got reincarnated as a slime.
Yeah.
That would really blow. Like, it didn't get covered quite as much, right?
Yeah.
Like in the West, but yeah, I've seen so many fucking ads for things related to that.
Yeah, Idolish 7, which I know is like for Joshi. It's a female idol thing.
Black Clover.
Yeah, is Black Clover also a Fujoshi thing?
I'm not really.
I don't think Black Clover is. Yeah, it's a shonen book, Black Clover. It's
I
guy. What was that guy? Gintama's ending, isn't it, or is it done yet?
I think it's in its final.
Yeah, it's running down.
But notice how most of but the reason why I so wanted to bring this up is notice how the stuff that's on here is the stuff that's been, the stuff that people are really hyper passionate about because of the characters and all really good at merchandising.
Notice that Overlord is above Sword Art Online. Just notice that, because
I like that. I like that.
It'll make you feel good inside.
It's like we talked about a while ago in one of these third segments. It's like, notice all the top anime, the top anime. They all have really good characters that people can get on board with.
I think people miss that in general. Like, anime is very character driven, more so than narrative driven.
Oh yeah, I also put top selling anime of 2018. Look, of like Blu-ray and DVD discs.
Yeah, hang on a sec, I'll check it out. Okay, yeah, there it is. Okay, it looks like the biggest one is Love Live Sunshine.
Fujo's Love Live. Coco, inexplicably. I guess that makes sense. Pixar does pretty well, actually. There are a ton. You can, if you want to watch some really cringy shit, you can go on like Nico Nico or YouTube if you can search it well enough. There's less on there. Some really cringy shit of Japanese girls singing "Let It Go." There are a lot of girls that are not good at singing that song, but they sing it anyway, and just power to them, you know.
Yeah. Mobile Suit Gundam: The Origin.
Yep.
Yeah, but look at the disparate numbers there. Like that's not even.
Yeah, half. Love Live crushes probably because there was a pack-in that you could use to get like a handshake from one of the voice actresses.
Yeah, and so like a bunch of deranged Japanese guys who masturbate before they go meet them. Seriously, that actually happened.
That happened, yeah.
That's not even a joke. People actually did that. That
dude went the fuck to jail.
No more Fate's Day Night, which people are telling me in Discord to read the visual novel, and they know that's not going to happen because I finished one visual novel out of all the ones I've started, and that's like
wait to read 15. Fate.
Yeah, Fate.
Oh my! Don't ever read Fate. Holy fuck! What a thick, fucking impenetrably dense, obnoxious. God, I love. Don't get me wrong. I love Type Moon to death. Holy shit, is Fate just a pain to read?
I've been tempted to watch the one where it's just they're the lolis.
Yeah.
Primer's Y
but
then I hear it's like, but you won't get all the jokes if you not. Or
you need to watch, like, if you watch the first, like, Fate Stay Night, and then what was the second one? It wasn't Fate Zero. What was the second one?
Was it Unlimited Blade Work?
Not. What are you talking about? Not the original Fate Stay Night series.
No, the original anime Fate Stay Night will give you the entire sort of grounding to understand the basic idea.
The one people die if they're killed.
Yeah, which is hey, it's true. You know,
I mean, it's not a lie.
You can be upset if you want, but he's not wrong.
He's
not smart, but he's not wrong. Nobody ever accused Emmy of being smart, though, right? Like that never happened. Nobody was ever like, "What a good protagonist." Everybody was like, "Man, it'd be great if his fucking future."
Do people actually say that about anybody? It would have been great.
No, every protagonist gets shit on except like One Punch Man.
Is Grand Blue Fantasy anything to
okay, so here, if you have the prerequisite feeling that there should be no men whatsoever in your waifu gacha game, then you should not play Grand Blue Fantasy. Love Live did a crossover with Grand Blue Fantasy, and the Love Live people flipped their fucking shit. Their Love Live waifus were going to be next to fantasy men with abs and confidence. They did not take. It did not go well. Here's the best part. They put a feature into the game that said that, like, you should maybe consider switching the gender of your character so that you can more thoroughly enjoy this crossover event, because the Japanese audience was so pissed. Wow. There was some great shit from one of the official artists of Grand Blue Fantasy that had one of the dudes from the series with his arms around two of the Love Live girls and like a mask on that said "I'm a girl," basically, like just a fucking. They clowned so hard on the fucking Love Live kids for that. And it was funny. Like, there were some great memes, but I also get the Love Live side of it. Like, I get it. Like, it's your waifu game, dude. You don't want dudes in there competing for their time. I kind of get that angle on it. You know, I'm trying to look at titties, man. Like,
I think we should wrap this up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting a little long. Well, we hope you enjoyed sort of our rambling discussion of. Did we go anywhere with that other than making dumbass?
It was all vaguely on topic most of the time.
Some conclusions.
Yeah.
The American anime industry's trash. I came in with that one. I'm leaving with that same that same premise. I didn't grow as a human being.
No, not at all.
I came. I saw.
I forgot it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I came. I saw. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to watch it all burn.
I came. I saw. I fapped.
Well, yeah. You got to do it sometime. Anyway,
that's the show. Thank Wombat for joining us.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Anytime.
Hey, yeah. Well, like I said, just message me. You guys got me on Discord. Well,
yep, and other places. So, dumbass 9/11 jokes. Yeah, we made it.
Listening, go to nichannoechi.com and look at my shit because I'm gonna do a shout out for my shit. I'll fight you guys.
No, that's cool.
Yeah,
we were going to encourage that anyway.
Yes, indeed.
Being your pet, not fighting.
The website for NTR Radio is ntrradio.net.
Hey, listen, I was the closest to 9/11 out of all of us, so.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
Before anyone accuses us of being insensitive, technically I was the closest out of all of us, so.
I skipped school that day, so I can make jokes about it because I didn't get to be upset with everybody else.
I was in my underwear eating cereal watching the news.
Oh,
remember that one time someone got mad at us for making jokes about Chernobyl?
Yeah, I do remember that. That was like, and within the first
episode we did.
Yeah, I'm not sorry about that, by the way.
You don't want to hear a fucked up story real quick. I skipped school on 9/11.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't want to go. I was skipping school a lot. It was high school. I didn't want to do it.
Yeah. And, let's be real. Nobody likes high school.
Yeah,
I just started my art school. Yeah. Literally 1 week later, 9/11.
Don't skip it, man. Because you gotta learn the art. But so I skipped, and the next day when I came in, somebody was like, "Oh, you weren't here yesterday." So when we found out stuff hit the towers, we were kind of like, "Where's he today?" And it's like, "Are you what?" I was like, "Is that a joke? You thought I stole 2 planes?" I was like, really, like,
what kind of brain that motherfucker thinks that?
You gotta live in a town of 400 people to come up with some shit like that, man. And I did, and that's how they came up with it. They're like, well, one guy we know isn't here today. That must have been who flew the planes into the towers.
Not just once, but twice. He died and then was resurrected.
Then I got a second and third plane.
All 4 planes, it was him.
Yeah, like that's
I'm good.
That's
I'm one of the best hijackers the world's ever seen. Got away with it. Still living an anonymous lifestyle years later. They never suspected a fucking freshman in high school or whatever the fuck I was at the time. Can't even drive.
Outsmarted all of TSA.
I just didn't get on the bus, man. Like,
we got to do this outro. I'm gonna tell you that VZ's got a book. It's called The Big Book of Idols. It's an Idolmaster art book. You can find it at thebigbookofIdols.com. He also did the design for NTR Radio shirt. You can find that at iyashike.moe/store.
In case you want to draw unwarranted attention to yourself.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. In case you want to make it known that you listen to one of the best podcasts in the world, possibly.
Let's see, second best behind mine, but one of
the of course.
There's only really 2.
That's why I'm saying it's one of the best. It's really only 2 best podcasts. Real close. You can find my stuff at iyashike.moe. You can find where I sell half-naked anime girl figures at shinikiba.moe. Hit up me on Twitter at TAnubis, VZ on Twitter at VZMK2, KGods on Twitter at immortal_KGods, the show on Twitter at NTR_radio.
Probably should send out his too.
Oh yeah, mine's at DigiWombat for my not pornographic account, and at Arrow Onichan For the other one, ERO, Edo, Onichan. For the other one, because that's 90% porn retweets. So,
which is okay if you.
I think it's worth following.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
My stuff's 90% idle retweets.
Yeah.
So yeah, and mine's just potpourri.
You can find us on iTunes and wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't forget to don't forget to drop a review if you have time, or just really hate us, and I'll make that known.
Write something funny because we like that. The email address is ntrradio@gmail.com. I'm Tom Enforcer Nubis.
I'm K-Gods.
I'm VZ Mark II.
And I'm a wombat. The special guest is me.
Even though we're all missing on 9/11 every time we say this. NTR Radio.